They can hear me in the room, but we can't hear them. I've turned everybody down on my soundboard. So you guys can talk in there if you want. Nobody can hear you. I control all the power here with my little switchboard. So yeah, Unchained is the untold story of freestyle motocross, basically telling how the sport progressed and the people that pushed the sport. And we are lucky enough to have a handful of basically the key players that made this all happen. So very excited for that. Let me get rid of this little graphic for you guys, and we'll start introing people. All right, here we go. I guess first off, we got talking is John Freeman. What's up, John?
Hey, what's up, buddy?
One of the producers of this movie. How did obviously you're involved because you filmed everything from basically the inception of the sport, right? So that's how you kind of got involved in the whole project.
Well, the whole project kind of comes back from, me and Dana back in the day of snowboarding, and we got involved with a guy named Brian Manley, right, Dee?
Yeah.
We went out in the sand dunes, and we both had kind of the background of dirt bikes. I grew up on a dirt bike as a kid on a ranch, and Dana was riding dirt bikes and showed me what, some of the pros were doing. And we just decided to start filming a couple of things. And I was like, holy shit, these guys are huge. I never knew that, like guys like McGrath and Jeremy Albrecht back in the day, Manly. And so I started putting a couple of shots in some of my snowboard videos. People started freaking out and wanted
Vice doggy.
That's kind of how it all started.
Hey, Free Dog. Let's
Yeah.
chime in. Feist chimed in.
What up?
What you at, Feist Dog?
What's up? What's up?
This is normally how intros go with these things.
Hey,
All right.
hey, sorry about fucking you or messing your thing
That's
up.
it's all good.
Fucking work.
I'll just let me just run through the names then, and then that way we can just move along and then start the conversation and the movie. So in the room,
host it up.
we got John Freeman, who we just talked to, and Dana Nicholson, obviously the creators of Krusty Demons of Dirt, basically the biggest action sports movie, period. And that also helped launch freestyle motocross. In the room, we also have Paul Tablieb somewhere. Make some noise so you pop into our screen.
Here I am.
There you go.
And I'm with my co-producer, my wife, Susie.
There you
Hey,
go.
guys.
And then we also have some of the people that starred in the movie for being action sports legends, basically. The one and only Travis Pastrana. What's up, Trav?
What's up, guys?
Also, we have another person that definitely made a stamp on the sport, Brian Deegan. What's up, Brian?
Hey, what's going on, guys? How are you?
And then also we have, well, he signed in also as Brian Deegan, Ronnie Feist.
Send him my
I
link.
get an email from Freedom, so
There you are.
Thanks, I just use that, so it's all good.
Oh, cool.
Vice dog.
Yeah.
I see you.
We have
That's
Seth.
all good.
We have Seth Enslow in the room somewhere. You make
Yeah.
Right here.
Yeah, no, you can do it.
And
What up, guys?
What's up,
There you
bro?
This is a big
Yeah.
abstraction.
and as always, we got my partner here, Nick Gore, somewhere.
I'm right in here somewhere. I don't know where. Like I snuck in.
There he is.
Hey,
What's
where'd
that?
you guys go? There they are.
All right, so how did let's ask you, Paul, how did the whole project come together to basically go back through whatever it was 10, 15 years of freestyle motocross history and put the whole movie together and explain, how it progressed to where it was?
kind of a funny story. John hit me up out of the blue after seeing a press release about something and said about another movie I had done, and said we should do the history of freestyle motocross. So we went to Monster to get funding and support. And the funniest part of the story has to do with Travis Pastrana, because we're sitting there with Mark Hall, the guy who created the Monster brand, and we pitched him the story, and he goes, yes. And then I said, well, Travis Pastrana is kind of going to be the star of the movie, and he's not in Monster. And Mark Hall said, I thought you were smarter. Someone said, yes, get out of the room when you got a yes. And so even though Monster knew that Travis was going to be wearing Red Bull, Mark Hall at Monster said, we want to support this sport. We want to support this movie. The sport had so much to do with our brand, and that's why they did it. So it all started with that, and then coordinating with my background in X Games and John and Dana with all the Krusty stuff, and then we reached out to everybody and made a movie.
Awesome. And how did you? Obviously, you guys won an Emmy for this movie.
We won a couple years ago Emmy for the best sports film of the year. Beat everybody in the world of sports.
Awesome.
It even beat Evil Knievel's story.
I'll prove it to you. Hold on a second.
Oh, man.
What is going on there with the banging?
There it is. The actual Emmy.
Damn.
Awesome.
You got to
Hold
move
that
more
the
than
whole
everybody
show now.
else.
Yeah.
What's that?
Yeah, you got to be the loudest so that you pop up on the screen.
You want me to?
Oh,
You want me to fucking turn my thing down?
There we go.
How's
No,
that?
yeah, but I put you guys on gallery as well.
What's done for us, Steve?
Dane is the
Hey,
one.
how many of your kids has set your zooms up for you?
All right, I'm gonna get ready here. Share the movie with you guys.
See, it goes like.
All right, we're gonna start the movie.
Nice.
What's up, bro?
Heard you're moving back to Cali.
Yeah, man. It's on the radar right now, dude.
I talked to
I
Twitch last night. Yeah.
I can't make another winner out here.
me and Twitch were rapping last night out at Cheney Ranch, and he's like, "Yep, Vice is coming back." I knew it.
Dude, I made it 2 years, and then I was like, man, I don't know. So
Yeah. Then depression sets in, huh?
yeah, it gets lonely out here, dude.
Need the old band, Vice. Get back.
Completing a
Hope it.
complex
Bring it back.
trick that defies logic, sanity, and gravity. A rush of a lifestyle of being so close to disaster, yet taunting.
Dude, the winter's too gnarly here for me. I can't
It's
do the
not
cold,
a matter
dude.
of I might get hurt. It's when am I going to get hurt?
Enough tears of that.
Those whose names
Talked to Mickey
resonate
the
above
other day.
the cacophony of the engines
Back around.
and adoring crowds.
Like house arrest, stuck
comes from
inside for
embracing
2
it
months.
all.
It's about self-fulfillment. It's about falling doing something that you do.
It is also the rarest of things, being truly, entirely.
Like New
You
Jersey.
guys aren't supposed to play the
Makes sense. It's the
role.
riders down on the floor at the X Games or wherever, and you look up
Yeah.
50,000 people. Why
Hey,
are we the
Travis.
guys down here? We're the gladiators, the guys who would have back in the day had the sword and the shield and been on the front line. And I just think that's the mentality of these freestyle riders.
And feeling, if only for a moment, immortal.
That time of holy crap, I got to go through with this is my time of holy crap, I get to go through with this.
That's a good line. Oh, Steph, where are you going?
But it's life, and it's the life that I really enjoy.
There's some great Seth clips in this thing, man.
The untold story of freestyle motocross.
I'm gonna see if I can get rid of that border there. All right, so talk about your intro. What'd you say? You got a bunch of good Seth clips? Crashing into stuff? Anybody?
Oh, we got the greatest hit Seth in this one. That's for sure. Seth.
Yo.
Dana's got something to tell you.
Dana.
You got some things to work out with yourself, buddy.
Yeah, you do.
Still working on them.
Serious issues, you got to work out with yourself.
That's right.
Great line.
Competitive motorcycle riding was born in post-World War I Europe.
And the funny thing, Travis, is that's when Seth's laying there face down and Dana's trying to riddle him.
It was christened motocross.
Instead of taking him to the hospital.
By the mid-'60s, motocross...
I don't need to go to the hospital right now.
Whoa. In that era, the biggest form of motorcycle racing in this nation was dirt track, which was all over the Midwest. And, 750 cc.
Hey, is Eric on this call?
Not yet.
Supposed to be. I just texted him. I haven't heard from him.
Said he was going to be. All excited about it. I don't know.
When motorcycle racing was brought into stadiums in the early 1970s, a multi-million-dollar industry began to
Deacon, you had a race or
became
something?
known as supercross.
Nah,
That's wanted to be a sport.
where
you know,
they're
so we wanted to make it as close
Just
to
about
a
a track.
stick and ball sport
Just
as we could
running
and
all
prove
of
that we were serious.
Yeah.
Hey, Paul, you should say something about Mitch Payton, how generous he was to help us, film all our interviews and stuff over there.
Yeah, that was really nice of it. You can't tell, obviously, but we shot all the interviews. It was on a set we built. And you can see the set there behind Kerry. We used all his extra parts and built a whole giant set and then lit it. And Mitch Payton was really kind to let us go there. One of the stories, by the way, that didn't make the movie had to do with Brian Deegan writing "fuck Mitch," if I'm allowed to say that, on his handlebars when he wouldn't give Brian a new motor or something. And then Brian later said, "I think I might have screwed that one up."
Good thing, yeah. We definitely had our moments for sure, but good thing we've mended those fences and it's all good now.
In fact, I remember the other thing that Mitch Payton said when Brian said he was going to go freestyling. This is one of those things that didn't make the movie. Was, "Oh, that freestyle thing will never work. He's got to stay with racing." And he was very, very, humble about how much Brian had accomplished by not staying in racing. So it was very nice in the end of the day. Like I said, they've come back together.
Yeah. Brian, do you want to talk a little bit about you were a guy that was getting the results that deserved the rides and kept getting kind of passed up. I thought that was kind of an interesting thing when you went to freestyle. Was like, you know what? I'm going to do what I want to do and I'm going to ride and I'm going to be this guy because, I keep getting passed up for being the person I want to be. I thought that was kind of a cool underlying story there.
Yeah, and that's really at a time, that's where I was just thinking the same thing of how good of timing all this went down, right? Like when freestyle motocross kicked off, it was all about timing. And the sport we started doing tricks on the dirt bikes and there wasn't enough rides for everyone like there is now. So, I was a top 5 to top 10 guy with, but a ride. And I had too much of an outgoing personality. And then we went into action sports and X Games in '99. Took off, and it was like perfect timing. Everything hit at the perfect time, and it was hard. Hard to walk away from racing, a whole life of racing, and I didn't want to let my family down, my dad down. But in the end, my dad's like, that was the best decision you've ever made. We parlayed it into something 10 times of what you could have ever done in racing. So there's a lot of good timing there for everyone, I think. And I think you took the biggest chance of everyone, though. You had a factory ride, and you pretty much walked away from racing to do freestyle, and a lot more given up than I did for sure.
You have any regrets, Travis, about not racing?
Heck no. I've had I'm still making a living on kids' toys, man, having fun, traveling the world. It's been pretty cool. My dad always said, he goes, well, my uncle was quarterback for Denver Broncos for 2 years, 69, 70. And, he still works at Anne Arundel Community College still to this day and construction with my dad. He goes, look, he's probably the best athlete that's ever come out of our town of Annapolis, maybe the state of Maryland. and he didn't make a living doing what he loves. So any day that you can make a living doing what you love to do, chase that dream until the wheels fall off. And still kind of doing that, but at the same time, you know, for me, like I wanted to push myself. I wanted to have fun on a dirt bike, and racing. It's not that racing wasn't awesome. I was tired of being hurt, and that sounds kind of dumb for most people that listen to it. They're like, "Well, if you're tired of being hurt, why did you do freestyle?" I'm like, "Well, it's different. Racing, you're hurt, you're sick the whole time. With freestyle, you get to go actually enjoy it. You get to hang out with your friends. Like, I mean, obviously the Metal Militia and Deegan and those guys weren't the guys that I was necessarily hanging out with, but
yeah, you were. You came out and hung out with me and the Black Flies guys. You're like, take me to Black Flies. I need some stuff. Yeah, remember that, dog?
Dude, I got in at like probably I was like noon or 1 o'clock in the afternoon, like 3 or 4 o'clock my time. You took me to the owner of Black Flies, and I don't know, someone answered his door, still in their pajamas, female. I was like, yeah, that's probably where I want to go.
Female.
I think you were like 12, right? Weren't you about 12?
Hey, Travis.
Yeah.
Who's that Suzuki guy that was all mad at me when you got sent home from California? You're a factory racer guy. Was that Roger DeCosta or one of them guys?
No,
somebody was all mad, huh?
There was the story that never got told was that my dad, actually, this is probably the start of him getting the divorce, was he told my mom that I was out there doing testing with FMF, and I was going to be out there for a week. I ended up in Gerbump, just outside of Las Vegas with you guys.
Yeah.
No social, no anything. Yeah.
Gerbumski.
Yeah, that's too much.
Mickey Diamond took me under his wing. Mickey,
okay,
you guys all did, but
I got one more. I got one question. I got one question for you and Deegs. If you guys came out to the desert and like met up with me, like I'm in the desert right now, are we riding dirt bikes or the UTVs? Because I'm in the UTV, dog. I didn't bring my dirt bike. I'm in the UTV. I'll admit it. I mean,
but I was 12 years old. That was the first that was the first truck that I got in that was street legal. That you took us off some whole bunch of jumps. I was like, this is awesome. The pre-runner, that was the coolest thing ever. But no, like the Can-Ams now are so much fun. The family all loves them. Definitely running those, for all of us. But I don't know. I still like dirt bikes, just a little beat up.
No, I know, but it's just fun, isn't it? Fun, like it's like dirt biking with the wife and the kids, isn't it?
Yep.
Okay, we'll talk about dirt bikes again.
All right.
When you didn't win, you would get an email from Japan and it would say, please explain Jeff Emig condition. Like, why is
Jeff
he winning?
Condition.
On a factory race team, it's all about getting results. Nobody cares about anything else.
I don't like because it brings me down.
As the corporate-controlled world of Supercross groomed and shaped its image, they couldn't control everything, and weekend free riding was quickly but quietly becoming popular with the tightly controlled official factory riders.
It was like soul riding. The camaraderie that you get out of all that, I mean, just being able to hang and do what we loved. As a motocross rider, that's the way that you can set yourself free. You didn't really want to tell your team manager or your sponsors that you were going out in the hills and riding, so we just called it play riding.
But when snowboard filmmakers John Freeman and Dana Nicholson discovered this secret free riding subculture, they began filming in the deserts of Southern California.
My broken cameras.
What's so down with your camera, dog?
I had to beat on them.
Out in the dunes, out in the hills, just showing how fun that is, free riding.
The snowboard films and the snowboard style, the snowboard freedom of expression is where this came from.
Creatures of habit.
In 1995, John and Dana released Crusty Demons of Dirt, featuring national Supercross champions Jeremy McGrath and Jeff Emig.
McGrath was badass. So was Emick.
Supercross establishment. The national distribution of the VHS tape would set off a firestorm of controversy.
It just spread like wildfire. It was insane. It went from me thinking it was going to be the biggest bomb in history to I could not keep the fulfillment of the...
No comment.
VHS tapes.
I'm divorced.
Cut this shit out.
Video. It was coveted. It was passed around. It was copied as much as possible, and you just play it over. I mean, we would literally wear tapes out.
Released independently on VHS, Krusty Demons managed to sell over 100,000 copies worldwide in less than a year.
Krusty Demons.
Created Brolin's VO. Isn't he amazing?
Motorcycle racers.
Yeah, he made it. Definitely. When we first did that, Paul, we had just kind of a voice in there, and it changed the whole movie when you got Brolin in.
That was Susie, my wife. She's the one took him 3 months of calling till he finally said he would do it.
There's Damian Sanders.
Yeah, one of the best clips in the whole movie.
All these things that no motocrosser had ever done before on video.
You don't really have access to like a pro motocrosser. It's a guy behind the ropes and he's going to sign a signature or something like that, and then he disappears. We were coming in with cameras and showing behind the scenes life of these race guys that love.
Where was that, D? That's Palm Avenue.
In a very loose fashion. We were just kind of punk rock about the whole thing.
Yeah. Wouldn't be a man if I didn't go for both.
Rose house right there with the little 50.
This was like, whoa, check out this dude smoking a joint or getting wasted over here, and this guy's partying and running chicks over here. And
Rusty Russ.
We're like, oh my god, they don't show that. We're not supposed to let people know we really have fun.
It was like Christmas, you know? Every morning, I just wanted to wake up and watch it. That was my
Egan, I think you sent us some clips. That's how we even got to know you in the very beginning with that purple hair.
Yeah, 95 probably.
That's yeah, I think we released this thing in either 94 or 95, something like that. Maybe 94.
I think there was a lot of concern from
the way to do it, see everybody in the windows, bro.
Editor was a guy named Carl Kramer. He deserves a lot of credit for putting all this crazy footage together and getting the music, and really deserves a lot of credit for this movie. We hear his name.
The editor.
Carl Kramer did a great job.
Yeah. Paul, we went through about, what, 3 editors before we could even get this thing finished up.
Didn't come together.
Larry.
The hair, dude.
That's the guy who made it possible.
Yep. He definitely helped put this whole thing together.
Wait, Link Goggle?
No. Mark Hall, Monster.
Okay, yeah.
He believed in the project. There's Castillo. Seth, where are you going?
Young buck, dude.
Traditional factory supercross racing and a new breed of rebellious, free-spirited motorcycle riders.
Watching Dukes of Hazzard and the Fall Guy on TV, I thought that it'd be sweet to move to California and be a stuntman. Then I started riding motorcycles and racing motocross.
There you go.
This kid from Pennsylvania drives out to California to live the California dream. So he starts filming with us, and
there's Russ.
Keep up with,
dude, is Rusty still alive?
Yeah.
He's out of jail and he's back.
No, he follows me on Instagram. He's out surfing and stuff. Russ is chilling.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's.
What about Pine Man, that photographer?
Yeah, Pine Man's chilling.
Pine's around. Yeah.
Yeah, he's hanging.
I've had that song sung to me so many times since the movie. Like, people get so excited they won't know what to say, so they'll just start singing that song.
I remember not even knowing what ragdoll meant. I was like, what does that mean?
That song was our friend Sean Farmer, who was the gnarliest guy in snowboarding back then. Music, what was it called? Stokes. Perfect song.
To add a camera to you know, a bunch of badass dudes. It ups the ante. It makes you, with your Kodak courage, they call it, want to go that much bigger.
Sethro, where are you going?
Ooh.
Look, takes everybody out, and he's standing.
He's like, Seth was just unkillable. He like literally just kept doing stuff.
People are so happy, even though their bikes got worked that day. They're like, "Is this Krusty's filming? What is this?"
I just like Emick's comment on that whole thing. Like he was the only one that looked a little disappointed for whatever reason. I don't know, but it was pretty funny.
I've ever seen.
He was genuinely mad.
Oh, you know who was mad was Ryan. He wanted to fight Seth. He was ready to go box.
Lawrence?
No, well, Lawrence was too, because it was his bike that he was on.
Yeah, that was bad.
Yeah. But no, Ryan, he just wanted to beat everybody up. He thought Seth did it on purpose.
Hey, we got a question. The girl beside me said, when did freestyle first start?
When did freestyle first start?
When we saw Travis doing some weird ass stuff.
That was the 90s, Shelby. That was back in the 90s.
90s?
I think it started right here. Guy named Seth Enfield.
That means
Yeah.
X
Right there.
started in the 90s.
Yeah, good job.
Early 90s.
It started right there.
No, that jump seriously started freestyle right there. That Seth, you started everything, man. I blame you.
I like how you hang on, Sethro.
Yeah.
Use the suspension. Right there.
Dude, if you'd have jumped off, you'd have died for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
You never jump off when you go long. First rule.
Write it out.
I think I've only seen you come up short once. That was during the McGrath filming when you broke your wrist.
Whoa. I remember the kink at the wrist. Yeah.
No.
Yeah, and you look like grandma. Sure.
Also forged strong relations with the traditional racing industry. Freestyle motocross may have been born, but in the late 90s it was still sequestered to the Krusty Demon sequels John and Dana produced. Its full potential as a sport and lifestyle had yet to be realized.
That's some Gizmo footage. That place.
I remember you getting fast.
How old are you there, Travis?
10 or 11.
Didn't you tell a story, Travis? You used to start races backwards or something like that, and have to catch up or something like that.
My dad, he'd have me. Usually, if it was a double gate, he'd have me start with the first gate and the second gate. I got disqualified from about every race that I ever did, but he was just trying to get me to get quicker for. My bikes were always broken and beat up. It was fun though. I mean that's that's what helps you get there, I guess. Hey, remember Dana when you broke your heel? I think Seth was there. You guys were trying to learn a backflip. My dad comes down. He still had his clip phone in his pocket. He had his shirt unbuttoned, his tie on, and backflipped. I think it was Dana's bike there, and you guys weren't doing the flips.
Dad. Yeah, remember I did the 250 because you guys were trying to get the mini bike.
And you went way too big, Dean.
Well, yeah, you guys are going to try to learn backflips on a mini bike.
Sissies.
And then Travis knocked me off the thing.
There you are.
Hey, Travis got me back. You did go from California with a broken arm, huh?
Hey, Travis, your dad swam down to the bottom of that pond and got that mini bike out from when Bub went off the diving board.
A lot of people don't know Bubba can ride. He's a good dirt bike rider. That's what my dad was like. I think it was Race Tech suspension or something. My dad's like, yeah, he's an A rider.
Bubsky.
Bub Bob can come off the line pretty hot.
He's got a lot of traction. Maximum traction.
Remember when we all bungee jumped in New Zealand and he was tripping? He was so scared to step off the edge.
Well, Feist, we always threw Bub off everything we could. So.
Mark's over there just going, what in the world? You know, this little kid?
He just happened to be there, and this little clean-cut kid who had all the talent in the world.
You know, Travis, that's the first time we met Carrie as well as you.
Dude, that was a cool little practice track. I was so stoked you guys showed up. Because all the factory teams were there. That's the only reason I was even there was we got an inside scoop that like Suzuki factory team was going to be testing.
Nice.
Yeah, it was wild.
I think that's when we tricked you into coming to California.
Travis.
Yeah, dude, I was all in. My dad was all in. My mom was not stoked on that whole trip.
Oh, your mom was not like us. Over my dead body, I think she said.
I don't know. I survived. I appreciate it, guys. Thanks for the opportunity. I mean, this literally started this changed my whole direction of career, without a doubt. Good, bad, and different. I'm not sure still, but I think it was good.
Good story.
But I will kill you. And Dana says, fair enough.
By the time John and Dana began showing Krusty Demons 3 in California,
Pan on and put some like water in there so it flushes. Don't skid it all up.
That's rule number 1 of a RV.
Can't go out in the house. Can't go in the house.
No idea
what
was going on, but
you're already stinking it up. Put the fan on. Put the fan on.
Brian, you're live, man.
Farted.
You're live.
There's your story, Travis. When you got picked up by Dana, I think, at the airport. That's it.
Dude, Krusty 3 premiere was dude, you guys started a riot. There was the LA riot, like SWAT team came in to break up the party for Krusty 3. My mom was like, "Oh my gosh, what are we getting into?" You guys, I still have that Zoot suit. That was pretty sick.
Mickey D.
Okay. There's Mickey.
Hey, sweet, dude.
Yeah, I just talked to him the other day. He's kind of coming out of the head trauma kind of.
Yeah, I talked to him like a week ago. He's super cool.
He's very happy to be home. Let's put it that way. Yeah.
Mick's so cool.
He's had a lot of hits. He took me under his wing so much, but everyone always forgets he had 2 outdoor national AMA championships.
Yeah.
And the lights, like that's guy has some skill, man.
Dude, he's sick. Just the nicest guy too.
He was afraid he was going to get stuck there. He said a lot of guys that are in that facility, they don't come out. So he was pretty happy to be back home.
There it is, dude. The ghost ride.
What were you thinking there, D? Just go for it?
Yeah, I didn't really know what to do, to be honest. I definitely didn't plan on winning that race till the last lap. So that was all came pretty quick.
Well, you made it a pretty cool memory.
Yeah, I know. Like, honestly, that was before there was a backflip or any of that either. I don't know. I don't really know.
Like Deegs was.
Dude, so I was there watching. That was one of Carmichael's first races. You had Philemon, you had Robbie Raynard, Kevin Windham. Dude, the all-star cast and that like the guys that you beat at that race were like the best of the best all time. It was pretty sick.
Was it at East West?
No, it was West. Ricky was running it. It was the first year that he started, but he ran West Coast before he ran East that year. I don't know how that worked that year.
Yeah, I remember it was stacked. Yeah, there was a ton of guys in it.
You got to post that sometime, just like the results from that event. I'd like to see that again because I just remember everybody was in it.
Yeah, post the race. The race would be pretty sweet.
I probably have that on VHS.
Kick everybody's ass.
Yeah, and talk trap.
There's your sponsor right there.
Yeah.
Huge news.
Jordan.
Controversial from the beginning. He was a perfect fit for the Krusty.
Young bug, dude. Look at him.
And I got into motocross through a neighbor. He was
There you go.
There it is there, Pro Daddy.
took me to the races. I fell in love with it. You know, I was into all the ball sports before then, and begged my dad for a dirt bike, and went out there and started racing motocross.
How old were you when you got the little cowie?
That was Jeff Dimmick. Me and Jeff Dimmick. I was probably about 10.
There you go.
Didn't you say you got that helmet back one day, Brian? That bull helmet?
Yeah, I have a helmet. Yeah, but I don't know if it's that one. It was a.
I was really pumped because it was the first time I got a chance to ride with Brian Deegan.
Took your ACL.
At the very end of the trip, there was a jump called the diving board out of Beaumont.
Hey, you got all the credit on the diving board, but there was, dude, Freeman, Dana, you guys brought me out there. You're like, you got to do this. McGrath wouldn't do it. I was like, well, I'm gonna do it. If Jeremy came out and didn't jump it, I'm jumping. And then I broke my wrist. And then Brian does it, and all the camera guys were out for that. He got the photo that was the calendar.
We told you not to do it.
No, you got the shot.
We said
you're
no.
the first. You're the first one.
Yeah.
That's not there for a while.
Brian got the calendar. That was a sick photo.
Yeah, were you there the day when you broke your wrist? Were you there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The day that you jumped, it was the same day.
Yeah,
Okay.
that was the same day.
Both you guys were there. Mickey was up there like doubling it. He goes, no, don't do it. So
Hey, you guys always told me don't do it just so my mom didn't kill you if something happened. But I know
There you go.
you were still filming.
Yeah, you knew he was.
Dana, he's going. Get the camera going. He's not stopping. And there's Deegan.
Yes. I'm so glad you guys put that in this movie, though.
Hey, I'm not gonna hit that thing now. I didn't want to hit it, but now I got to.
God, dude, I ain't letting this dude shut me down.
Boom. Perfect.
There's like no landing either.
Absolutely perfect.
What, dude? So many people had tried that jump before without jumping it. There's a whoop section down the.
And it was always one up in each other. Everyone deep down inside wanted to have the best part.
We were always trying to one-up each other. We were young guys in our 20s. That's what we do. We want to be cool. We want to be cooler than the next guy. We want to be better than the next guy. And it probably had a lot to do with how we excelled at Supercross. You were pressing the limits. You were getting out of your comfort zone. Along the way, we were improving our skills on the motorcycle.
This one-upsmanship among the riders would become the hallmark of freestyle motocross. But adding a competition element to this already risky endeavor would immediately foreshadow the direction and dangers of the sport.
There's your shot.
We're getting beautiful footage off this thing called the diving board. So
Calendar.
Travis gets all excited, does a big
And Travis, you got a little excited.
Now this is the first time I broke my navicular right there.
Yeah.
Scaphoid, that little tiny bone that doesn't heal in your wrist.
What do you want us to do? Like, we almost got you back to your parents, and your mom's already going to kill us.
That's cool. I don't need to go to the hospital.
Now, the one thing that Dad said to Dana, please send him home in one piece.
I was like, no, just take me down to Savon, and we get some duct tape and get a splint, and I'll be good because I got a good wrist doctor back at home. And later that afternoon, took me to the airport, sent me home. My mom never flew out to castrate either one of them, and they've been friends ever since.
I think we did take you to Save-On.
We've met a cool little kid. We're well on our way now, you know, with our third film.
In 1997, John and Dana would unveil Krusty Demons 3 to a raucous capacity crowd at the Palladium in Hollywood.
There's your party, Travis.
There it is.
I had one of the girl there grabbed me in her chest, and I was like, "Can you do that again?" I handed my little camera, wind-up camera to Pine Man to get the shot. My mom, when she developed that footage, she's like, "Wait, what?"
One of my dreams is to be in a Krusty Demons Dirt movie.
Yeah, you guys changed my life. Thank you.
Want him to have a part of this movie? Is it going to ruin his racing career? And they get there, there's limos with hot tubs, girls in bikinis going down the road, you know, Cristal, and you know, just drinking. And my parents are like, "What? Where did we go? Are we even on Earth?"
Straight out of Maryland, right into our deal.
They saw the movie, and the song.
There you go. I like this one where you go up the hill.
The family and the authenticity of just hard work and.
That's one. Dad shoves you up the hill.
Yeah, good luck. You're not. I mean, there's no chance. There was no chance I was getting up there any better than that.
We like making that segment, Travis. That was cool. We had all that little, you know, your young footage and stuff.
Dude, I couldn't believe when that came out. Like, I mean, that was rad. That was the first time, like, all my friends, like, we had been watching the Krusty. I mean, like, I'd been in Terra Firma, the Terra Firma series, but there was nothing. When Krusty 1 came out, dude, we watched that. I still have the VHS. We watched that over and over and over again. It changed everything. And look at this. This is that's one heck of an after party. But you got LA SWAT. Shut it down.
And we got it on all our cameras.
Yeah, and it was on the news, huh?
It was on the news. It was called the Krusty Riot in LA.
Krusty Riot. Remember, no one wanted to leave
It was
either.
the Palladium. It was like 4,000 people or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What turned into a riot? How did that happen?
Oh, the band. It was the band. They didn't want to stop playing. So the bouncers went up there and started pushing the guy around, and they pushed the bouncer off the stage. That guy just started punching everybody, so that nobody was going to take that. So everybody punched back. And then they, I guess they put in a call to the riot team, and that's how that all happened.
What band was it?
What?
What band?
Dana, are you there? I can't remember.
Burning Groove, wasn't it? Burning Groove?
I think you're right. It was Burning Groove. And it was the lead singer. He didn't want to stop singing. So they pushed the bouncer off, that big guy. Yeah.
Yeah, well, they called the LAPD and there's a bike riot going on.
That's what we're thinking here.
He's jumping a little bit, they're moving it back, and meanwhile the wind's starting to pick up.
It came in hot.
They didn't have
That's right.
per hour figured out, or any of that kind of physics or calculus. None of that stuff was done.
Wind up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was going to help you, the wind?
I
Behind?
was thinking right here, I'm going way too fast, but I'm way too hungover to come up short.
Yeah. Look, you're going over Sinkmar's house. And the telephone pole.
And the landing was a little small. We needed more dirt, I think.
A little
It's always good for the little landing.
Yeah, double that dirt would have been sufficient.
Yeah. The takeoff was like 15 feet high, and the landing was like maybe 11 or 12 feet high.
That's your dad right there. He was there.
His face and in his skull, and the only way to get those was to literally make an incision around his head, peel his face off, and make the repairs to his skull and to the fractured bones.
You got
that was the moment you became superhuman, Seth. You went from like a real person to a cartoon character. I mean, I'm sure it didn't feel like a cartoon character, but geez. How's your head now?
All good. All good.
Titanium.
Perfect.
Perfect.
And they told you don't jump. What are you doing?
4 weeks later.
I could jump to 175 feet at the Houston Astrodome at the Monster Truck Show there, so I wasn't going to give up yet. I wasn't done chasing that dream.
Was that a Monster Jam they had that at?
It was just the Monster Truck series. I don't know what it was called,
Oh.
but yeah, they just have to go jump at like 7 different shows.
There it is, the LXD.
There's the early days.
Close to Mason
OG
Speedway right
one.
there.
which was television, competition.
Paul, you had a good little mustache there in that first picture.
He was looking sweet, dude. I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah, I got a hopeful beard now.
Oh, how much flack did you get, Paul, when you were trying to run these things?
No, these gentlemen were always so well behaved and listened to everything we said. It was a delight working with them. But Brian, we never had any problems.
It's all smooth.
And he goes, if you promise after we air it one time, you never call me again. That's the deal. It's like, okay, great, fantastic.
We didn't really have a good idea about what we were going to build out there. You know,
Paul, you had a lot of trouble with just getting that thing televised. Is that right?
Originally, ESPN said they wouldn't do it. They called the AMA, and the AMA tried to shut the whole thing down. But
Yeah.
we were able to get one little airing, and that led to everything that came after that. The ratings were so high, they said, bring this to X Games.
Wow.
So we were very lucky that it happened.
Was it last minute that it went to X Games? It wasn't even supposed to be?
It wasn't supposed to be at X Games, but the ratings for this one show, this little half-hour show we did, blew them away, and they just added it to X Games. We went up to the pier and put it up there.
All right.
We had no idea what we were doing.
Yeah. So, Brian, how'd you come up with the whole Mad Max thing going to X Games?
I thought that was, I realized all of a sudden we were going to get crazy amount of TV time. And because I remember watching like Tony Hawk and all those dudes from X Games, I was like, man, these dudes are pretty big names, household names because of X Games. Yeah. And I just figured, okay, we got our shot. And the good guy role was already taken. So we were like, we'll play the bad guys, and it was worked out perfect. And really, X Games had a lot of cool personalities, but I don't think they had the militia vibe in X Games yet. So I think we just found our niche and lived it up, and we thought, okay, we were way into Slayer and like War and heavy metal, so we just thought that would be like the best way to stand out and run bikes and all black, and thought that was super professional. So thought that would be the way to win everyone over.
And then the Clean Cut Kid was your nemesis?
Yeah, the Clean Cut Kid was the totally opposite. So it worked out pretty good. And all in all, he was the one that actually got arrested. So
that's right. Yeah.
I didn't know it was illegal to jump a bike into the bay.
What was your comment that you need a tetanus shot just to go in there?
Yeah. Rourke. Sink.
No, but I mean, you had the Flying Hawaiian, Mad Mike Jones, the Kenny the Cowboy Bartram, Kung Fu Feist. Nobody was like everybody was a personality. Nobody was just a regular person. It was pretty wild. But like, it's something that I just was this dorky homeschooled kid, just loved riding my dirt bike, and to have Brian and the whole militia come in, like, it couldn't have been better for the media, the hype, and actually allowing like freestyle exploded, I think, a lot because of you either liked, Brian, or you liked me, and you probably hated the other person. So it worked out fantastic. Good job, Brian. Thank you.
Yeah. Think about it, it was like there was different teams, and like I said, the classic battle of good versus evil that everyone understands. And I think that, X Games played into it pretty good, and with like Paul and everyone understood the story, and it was just telling a good story. It
worked out great when we went to make the movie, because we had these one of the problems of making this documentary was there's not a lot of interaction between the actual people, and that makes it hard to create drama. But we had this structure of Brian and Travis allowed us to build the entire structure of the movie, getting us right to the end.
Yeah, that's good.
I think it was a perfect, combination there, just because not only was Travis like the good guy, he was super young, so that was ultra impressive itself. And then I think everybody liked both sides. For myself, I liked the back and forth. Even nowadays with, Colby and Axel, like, I like the back and forth, and I think it adds an extra dimension to it. And that's what you guys did early on. And it was, for the most part, who you guys were personality-wise.
I'll tell you this, I was in a lot of meetings with the ESPN people, and you guys freaked them out totally. The guys from Bristol, Connecticut, running the network, they didn't know what to make of this craziness. They were just nervous beyond belief.
Oh, I bet, because they're like putting us on live TV, and it's like it's a massive liability for sure. Especially, I mean, you think about it, like saying Larry was the king of it, right? And then all of us, like, you never knew what we were gonna say or do. So massive liability.
And then the clean-cut kid just jumps into the bay, throws his bike in there, and he's the one getting arrested, like Brian's.
He can't even be trusted.
No, like,
guys are walking around with spikes on and stuff, and they're worried about Travis.
Yeah.
ESPN was told if they ever aired that footage, people in the city of San Francisco was so mad, they said to ESPN, you can't ever air the footage. And they said, if you do, we'll pull all coverage from baseball, football. You'll never come back to San Francisco to shoot any footage. They were so mad. I mean, you were in the meeting, Travis, obviously, in that little room there. They were really lost their shit about it. And when we made this documentary and we needed the footage from ESPN, finally the question came up, are you going to show Travis going in the bay? And we said, well, we have to. And they were all kind of nervous, was San Francisco going to freak out? And turned out nothing ever happened, but they still remembered it, whatever it was. So many years later, they were nervous about giving us the footage because they thought they might get kicked out of San Francisco.
Wow.
It was so fun. Like, I was actually about to tear up in that meeting. Like, I was just being reamed. I was like, what the heck is going on? And I just remember my dad just laughing. He was just laughing his ass off. And then they took like the $10,000. Dad's like, well, shit. We don't have enough money to get home. Like, he checked, before we went up there, he checked what last place got. He's like, all right, if you get last, even if whatever, as long as the medical bills aren't too bad, we can still pay for gas to get back. So it was all the way across country. He's taking off work to do that. And then, but he was just laughing. He's like, you can't be serious. Like, come on, you need a tetanus shot to get in that water. Like, this is a joke. But they were beyond serious for sure.
They literally evoked the RICO Racketeering Act. And they said, if two people in this room lie about whether you knew in advance, we're going to put you in federal prison. And,
Jeez.
And Travis and I had a little meeting underneath the bleachers. And I knew what was going on, obviously. And we were both denying it, but thinking if someone else here tells the truth, we're going to really be in trouble. It was hilarious.
How did you get the bike out?
We had to hire someone. I mean, dude, it was like it was something like 50 or 60 feet deep right there. It was like really deep, right off the edge. I had a scuba guy go down, but Fox actually came in and clothing, because Pete Fox was out there.
He was on the boat.
He was on the boat. The wakeboard boat for X Games was out there with Todd Hicks and all those guys. We had Trent Cameraman. His last name is actually Cameraman. He was the camera guy. He's he's newbie to X Games. He's like, I thought I was gonna get a promotion. I came to ESPN. I'm like, I got the footage. He's like, how did you get it? Did you know? He's like, no.
And Paul put me in the judges tower. I was one of the judges, and so it was a perfect vantage point for me to film that. I got the perfect shot that you see in the movie there from the judges tower, and I gave you on your score a 20.
One of the other funny stories was they asked the guy from Fox, not Pete Fox, can't think of the other guy's name. They asked him, did you know Travis was going to jump in the bay? And he goes, no. And he goes, what were you doing in a boat with a grappling hook if you didn't know he was going to jump in the bay? He goes, we wanted to beat the traffic, and I thought maybe I'd go fishing. And he did not like that story.
Jeez.
Other independent contests began springing up across the country. But with prize money and sponsorships on the line, tricks were getting bigger and more technical.
There you are.
And so were the
There it is.
stakes and the injuries.
Ooh, who's that?
Manu True.
Frenchman.
Oh, that was the
French guy.
Yeah, I remember that.
Back at the diving board between Travis Pastrana and Brian Deegan.
We used to call him my new hole.
Didn't Cameron Steele's brother, Grant Steele, do that also?
Yeah.
Yeah, he did a bad one. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
There's Highland.
There you are. Spike.
Just to answer some of those questions coming through from the panelists or whatnot. Yeah, no, I totally thought I could do a backflip and completely chickened out on it. So yes, that was the bail, 100%.
He did a 360.
I thought you were just bonering it.
Nah, I wasn't that cool.
Boom, dude.
There it is.
These are sweet to watch, dude.
I know. And my kids clown me so hard when they watch this stuff.
They're like, I can do that.
I
We can't afford to get to the races. We have every one of my family members kicking.
We actually just watched just like this 99 X Games and thoroughly enjoyed it.
It is really embarrassing though. Like the trick list.
Dude, that's what inspired the rest of us to be able to do it. Like, imagine being a kid now. You're just like, double backflips, backflip KODs. It'd be more daunting. But back then,
so I got the guy that invented the rodeo on the trampoline bike sitting right here, Chris Haynes.
What's up, Haynes? I know Chris.
What's up, Clint? How are you, man?
Good. How are you?
Oh, living the dream, brother. Whatever it is, I'm living it.
Perfect.
Yeah, so this is my crazy little kid, Clint.
Awesome.
Dude, she watched Unchained like literally 500 times. She's like, I have to be there on the panel. I was like, all right, come on up.
What's your favorite part of the movie?
What's your favorite part of the movie?
When Travis actually jumps, so I think this is in his last. I think this is in it when he jumps off the thing to go down onto the dirt. I like that.
All right, I swear to you, she does watch this a lot, and she loves. Trusty 3 is her favorite. I know that didn't say it very well, but yes.
Something a little out of the ordinary.
Good job,
He's
Joey.
in the start house, and it's like, oh yeah, have a good time. Slap him, and he's soft. And he's put on about 20, 30 pounds. And it was this sudden realization of like, oh my God, he's got something underneath his jersey. So I start sprinting down the course. Travis takes off, and I'm literally running as Travis comes past me and just disappears in the air.
Oh yeah, that was a backflip attempt, huh? I seen the lean back there.
It was a piss poor backflip attempt. I don't know. I done it on Woodward into the foam pit, but yeah, it was not quite the same.
I never knew that till right now. I always just thought you just aired it off, bonered out, but I could see it off that berm now.
There's world's worst attempt.
Yeah, you went into that really fast to try and pull then at the last second.
He keeps his gold medal, but the prize money goes to salvaging the bike, and part of the money will go to the Save the Bay Foundation.
As cool as some people may have think it looked, I don't think it was very cool. How would you like?
You have to say this at this point.
Where you live.
I got my ass chewed. My dad got his ass chewed. Everyone that was in the room got their ass chewed. What kind of hooligan would pollute the San Francisco Bay, which I need a tetanus shot because it's so polluted already, with 2 ounces of gasoline?
And everyone got all crazy about it, but I'm like, that was pretty punk rock. Like, you know, the kid risked going to jail right there, so I give him credit.
Later on, when they went down and found the bike, it landed on top of a car.
Despite
they're worried about the bikes.
The reality was freestyle motocross still had no respect as a legitimate sport. This included
No, but I mean, that's something that's pretty interesting. Like, it's still to this day, like there is a rift between freestyle and motocross. Like Emmett McGrath, Steel Roots, Krusty, like that kind of made it almost legit. And then the second people started doing flips and X Games became a sport, dude, it just went, the moto industry just really looked down on this. And that was, you know, Deegan having the opportunity to go out there and just be who he was. And I think they were just pissed off that he found a way to make a living and do what he was doing, but just loving riding dirt bikes. It was the weirdest thing for me.
Yeah, why do you think that the motocross industry like still doesn't want to, you know, it's a more professional sport now than it was, as far as people having to train harder and, you know, keep it a little bit straighter. Why hasn't the rest of the moto industry backed it, do you think?
Well, definitely at the beginning, everyone thought people were going to start getting hurt and there was going to be a lot more injuries. And, you know, definitely with Brian and those guys, like, they were like, these guys aren't taking this seriously. They're not training hard. They're you know, being hooligans basically. But, you know, since then you got, I mean, Olympics have skateboarding and BMX and everything. Brian, what's your take on that?
Yeah, I agree. I think Supercross and motocross has always been about all the teams and factories always having control of the athletes and kind of being able to direct, like they run the show. And I think in freestyle motocross, they didn't have that control. You couldn't control these guys, and each guy was their own person. And I just don't think I think that was intimidating to that industry. I think that's just what I felt about it. There was really not a lot of control of freestyle motocross. And I think it's still like that today, but you just don't, I mean, they definitely have brought those two together a lot more than it was when we did it. It's, you know, back in the day, it was like you pretty much quit racing to go be a freestyler. And that's not what it is today. People just are freestyle riders. You know, there isn't like guys who are quitting, you know, racing too much to go ride freestyle. So, you know, I don't know. I feel like they've kind of mended together, and I feel like freestylers are now wanting to be factory riders. They want the good bike, the good gear. They want to look cool, like all clean. You know, and it's just kind of that bridge that gap, I think now. But I think it was just way too rebel for moto industry to accept it.
Is anybody a factory FMX guy right now? I don't think nobody is, right?
Yeah, they give bikes, ATM and the you know, the factories give bikes to freestyle guys. Like I couldn't get a bike to save my life. Like I barely could get a shop to sell me a bike.
Yeah,
like
and I know I've talked to Travis way back in the day, and he was like, I bought every X Games bike that I rode, right?
Yeah, Suzuki wouldn't they wouldn't let me ride any bike at X Games or any freestyle contests that they owned. So like all the factory bikes had the serial numbers or whatever. They're like, no, you can't ride it. So that's why I always ran Cernic Suzuki and stuff, because Jeff Cernic, I just got dealer cost on my X Games bikes, and that was, I mean, it was kind of interesting. So they never really supported it, you know.
I spoke to Ray Blank back in the day, who was the head of Honda in those era, And his big concern was two things. One, that the Japanese like to think of their bikes as the reason someone wins. In other words, the performance of the bike is integral to the success of the rider. And in freestyle, that's really not the case, right? It's not about the bike, it's the rider, which makes the Japanese nervous. The other thing was liability. They, you know, motorcycles are not really ingrained in American culture. It's a very niche part of the culture. And they were saying, we don't want, if we get behind it and someone gets hurt, literally, Ray told me the story about the old three-wheeler ATVs. Remember those? Which were killing people like crazy. And they got banned, just didn't want it to take off.
Yeah, I rode for a team that had it was arena cross team also, and they had a Suzuki deal. And that's what they had told us was that, like, I got my bikes through the local dealership, not actually through Suzuki, like, you know, even though they showed up in a crate. But they were just like us giving people bikes to do freestyle, basically okays, like we're okaying it for freestyle. And they're like, we don't really want to push people to do that for same thing, liability reasons.
In fact, we get to the story of Winter X Games, which I'm sure Brian remembers clearly. Ray Blank called ESPN, the head of Honda, when they heard we were going to do the Winter X Games, and offered to pay for it to not happen. He said, whatever costs you have to not do this, we will pay. We do not think motorcycles should be in the snow. And they tried to kill it.
Wow. That's so silly. You would think any exposure is good.
Well, as Brian was saying, he doesn't always end happy in the snow.
I always felt like it was kind of a slap in the face when they said that motorcycle sales went up like 22% when freestyle motocross kicked off. And I mean, that's a good amount of dirt bikes we helped sell. And so they're them not, you know, helping us out after that was, I don't know, it made it even kind of more of a black eye, I feel like, or a slap in our face, you know?
I think what we saw also is Supercross was kind of hurting on, you know, getting crowds and stuff like that. And when we started doing Krusty and have you guys, you know, as our athletes and people started liking all that, all of a sudden Supercross went big, like you're saying, you know, it got bigger and bike sales went through the roof. So
well, the culture, you guys showed how much fun dirt bikes could be. And obviously there's extracurricular as well, but like just the culture. I mean, Red Bull, you think as a brand obviously it's selling energy drink and all energy drinks, but they basically built up the lifestyle behind it. And that's what Krusty Demons of Dirt did. Yeah, Terra Firma was awesome. And for a racer, like to be a part of that was so cool. But when Krusty 1 came out, it turned the moto industry upside down to show, you know, just what you could do on a dirt bike. And then to show the top riders out there at Glamis and everything was pretty wild.
I think what you're saying is true, and what built it as far as the feeling that Krusty gave you versus anything else. It made you excited to ride, to hang out with your friends, you know, to just go and have fun.
Yeah. Well, think of how many people like back in the 90s era, like if you owned a dirt bike, it's because you raced or you something to do with it. And then all of a sudden there was that huge decade from what Krusty's just made dirt bikes look so fun. People just went out and got a dirt bike and didn't go race them. They just got them to just go ride them. And 100%. And that was weird to me. Like, I was like, dude, crazy. All these dudes are just having fun free riding because that's what they saw in the videos, you know?
And Travis, as you said, who brings beer to the test track? Hooligan, right?
Oh man, dude, Pocoroba, Seth, Bubba, man, like literally, I showed up to that test track, just hoping to ride in front of like Roger Coster, and I was so pumped when you guys showed up. It was a whole different style, though.
You got so excited, you ended up in the pond.
I did. My dad was so bummed. He said, "You just destroyed a brand new bike."
Ooh, that just got worked.
Yeah, you got way too worked up and ended up in the lake or whatever that thing was, that pond.
Motocross, freestyle, because almost everything that we did for the first couple of years was already a BMX trick.
just at that point where I was kind of thinking about, are flips possible? Are they not possible? And I built a house next door to TJ Lavin. I mean, one of the most well-respected BMX dirt jumpers in the world. Let's get you comfortable flipping a bicycle, and then you will know whether you can or can't flip a dirt bike.
Kerry could do it on a BMX bike, but we all know the motorcycle is a lot heavier, doesn't
Travis,
work the same. So as much
when
as
Kerry was thinking about this, were you thinking about backflipping back then or not really?
Yeah, dude, everybody was thinking about flips. I mean, honestly, we were looking at the jet skis, and those guys were doing barrel rolls and 360s, and obviously the gyro was a big difference. But it was honestly like it was TJ Lavin that really put the bug in everyone's ears. Like, you guys can flip like 100%. And man, Kerry just at Gravity Games that year, man, when he just went out, that was like, because everyone talked about it, but he didn't even mess around. He launched that thing, vertical takeoff. That was insane.
Yeah, that freaked everybody out. That was cool.
And anybody that's flipped knows that doing a flip and not traveling out is way worse. Like, once you start putting distance to it, controlling the flip is much easier. So imagine nobody's ever done one. You're just like, okay, I'm gonna go for it, and it's off some vertical lip trying to go like 10 feet out only.
Yeah. And he didn't end up landing on his head. Thank God. He got it around to the tires. So.
Yeah, that one counted in my.
I think one of the interesting stories that comes up in the movie is how hard it was for Brian to learn it and what he went through after all this. It wasn't natural.
That thing too.
He's like
How
30
high
feet.
out of the lip he was.
Yeah, he's like 30 feet high.
Dude.
Look how small that landing is. Like, look how much the jumps have evolved.
I wonder if he hit it in first or second. Did he hit it in second?
He hit second. I talked to him about it, and I was like, just hit it in first, man. You're not going very far. He hit it in second.
He's up there.
First, he may have not over-rotated that little bit.
Exactly. First would have been sweet, but he hit it in second. He went so high and far.
Yeah. Dude, boosted that.
Boosted.
Oh.
With no forward momentum. I mean, just a full straight drop, and landed hard. My hand blew off and slid out, but and that's always been a huge.
All right, what's the debate on this? Because this is the big debate, right? I personally consider this the first flip, because everybody the question was it even possible? And although he didn't ride away to his pits, he
put it on the wheels.
He put it to the wheels and
rotated it, dude. That's
exactly.
Rotated it.
That's it. He proved it was possible.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, there's no debate. Kerry was the first one to do a flip.
Right there.
All right, that's
for sure.
That's all I want. That's exactly how I feel too. But I have seen people try to dispute that, and I'm like,
yeah, all the skateboarders, you can't dab a foot or something. I don't know, dude. On a dirt bike, it don't matter if you put a foot down. Like, you drag both feet behind you, fall over on the landing. You get something around the wheels. That's you can't just bail out, knee slide out.
If the bike didn't land on you and you didn't get crushed, you pulled it off, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
A lot of people landed on their head.
At the time, though, there were a lot of people who were saying Kerry didn't do it. It really hurt his feelings. Even to this day, he's kind of sore about it.
Those are people that were jealous of it.
Exactly. Haters.
That's all that is.
Sure. Sure.
And then nobody wanted to do it. It was scary.
Let's grab one. Take two, boys.
He proved it's possible. There can be no question Kerry Hart did the backflip. The nuances of riding out or not riding out.
To really claim you achieve something, you've got to complete it. So Kerry Hart did backflip. He didn't land it. He crashed.
In my eyes, still the first one. Still the first backflip, hands down, because the amount of balls that
So was that a contest?
Gnarly, nonstop.
It's cool though.
Yeah, it's all good.
The industry almost backlashed on him. Like, okay, you started that, now we want to see you ride out of it.
I mean, there's a lot of great things that came with it, but there's also a lot of really dark negatives that came with it too. And unfortunately, all the dark negatives came from my peers in the industry. So it's kind of like a pretty major slap in the face, but that was part of it.
Kerry's failure to ride out of the trick left many wondering if it was indeed even physically possible. And for the next year, no one would even attempt it. The following year, Kerry broke his collarbone leading up to the X Games in Philadelphia. Originally planned to attend only as a spectator.
I got out there and there was all this buzz going on and interviews and just all these situations.
All the beginning.
You know, you get hurt, you're not, you know, I guess it stands, there's no backflip, you know, the first one never really counted. You know, like all this kind of just shit talking.
Yeah, so we're already good.
I made the horrendous mistake of deciding I'm riding.
Yeah. Thanks.
This is unbelievable history making 50,000 fans packed in here. The rumor is backflip.
Cool, thanks.
Between the outside pressure and the pressure.
I can remember being here just watching this and seeing the stress. Like, you know, there's sometimes things feel good and there's sometimes like, man, this was just gnarly. Like they were digging and digging and digging and he hit this thing so hard.
First thing that popped off was my right hand.
His hand gone.
Left hand still being on the handlebars, threw the bike in an off-axis spin, and I had to hit eject.
I can guarantee you he could barely pull and hold on with that collarbone the way it was.
And it goes from that beautiful whine of the motor to the silence. And then that bike hits, and that's a horrible sound. It's a crunching sound. We're going to experience this great joy. He's going to do this great thing. And then a father sees his son hurt, and it's not fun anymore.
He tried it 2 years in a row. He crashed 2 years in a row, the second time really badly. Are we placing so much pressure on these guys to perform something that just isn't possible?
Anything's possible.
16 bones in my foot, 4 of my ribs on the side, tailbone, wrist. I mean, it thrashed me.
With a heavy television viewership of the X Games, freestyle motocross had emerged as its own lifestyle and industry, having broken free from traditional supercross, which still felt threatened and hostile to the free-riding rebels. But some questioned whether its success as a legitimate sport would be overshadowed by the heavy toll on the riders. The revolution was complete. While racing would continue, the imagination of a generation was captured by the upstarts. Freestyle motocross represented freedom and individualism and was rewarded by its own stage, lifestyle, and industry, becoming part of a culture now dubbed action sports and embraced surfing, skateboarding, and BMX. But what had been unleashed had really only just begun. Mike Metzger had been dubbed the godfather of freestyle for progressing a variety of imaginative and inventive tricks. But like most freestylers of the era, he came from an unstoried racing pedigree.
I grew up riding dirt bikes from the time I was 3 years old till now, and I started racing motocross at the age of 6. Won some amateur national championships. From there, jumped into the pro motocross scene. Definitely would have to say some of the major components to me, you know, being
Have you
was,
you guys seen
you know,
any
my
snakes
background
out
in
here?
racing.
Metzger would now take a radical new approach to
out
Kerry
here.
Hart's backfield.
You know what it is
Management of
yesterday?
ESPN X Games called me and they asked me if I was going to do backflips at X Games, and I was like,
I just see like the kids running around in the weeds.
I saw one. It was on the
for
road.
them to come to my house and film me actually doing the first flip in landing area in my backyard, riding away from it.
Everybody knows Metzger's crazy.
Look on your email.
But the great thing about Metzger is he backs up his crazy.
By the time they got there, I was already in the backyard watering, prepping the landing, prepping the runway.
Roll camera!
Yeah.
Weiss, you were there that day, weren't you?
Yeah, me and Twitch rolled out. Mets called me the night before and was like, I'm flipping tomorrow, be at my house. So me and Twitch went out and we were both, as soon as he did like 5 in a row. Me and Twitch were like, dude, we're going to have to learn this now. Like, cause now we knew it could be consistent. Like he did it real smooth like 5 times in a row consistently. Yeah, he did.
Dude, everybody. So I had Kenny Barcher in my house right there. We were training for X and Gravity that year. And Kenny, look, he's like, I heard Metzger's trying backflips and I heard he's landing it. And then soon we kind of got everyone saying that it happened. And it was like, all right, well, game on. Within like 3 days from Metzger landing it, I think there was another 5 people that had done backflips just because, like, kind of like that 4-minute mile. We're like, well, do we want to win?
Yeah. I always equate it to the 4-minute mile because it's like human beings did not get faster in that year. Like there's nothing else that could have happened other than mentally they were like, oh, this is doable.
Mm-hmm.
For you riders, how much easier is it to do it when you know someone else has already done it?
So much.
1,000 times.
Yeah. It's like when you watch the one dude jump the big jump for the first time. You're like, okay, cool.
Exactly.
Seth was like, yeah, I was that guy all the time.
Not even.
A
lot of times I was like, damn, that guy's got some balls.
I actually paused
Always
it.
Easier when you know it can be done.
Exactly.
Or when you get to hear somebody, at least you know about what's going on.
Yeah.
I paused it because this first flip, the first second gear flip, you know, nobody's ever really talked about the fact that the first second gear flip was in a rhythm section and off of dirt. Like how long until people really started flipping dirt a bunch after that?
Actually, there a couple weeks before that, there was we were flipping dirt at Gravity Games.
Oh yeah, that's right. So
and Kerry did his first ever flip, a second gear flip
on
but
dirt.
It was still pretty freaking rad because he shifted in the air doing the first backflip.
But I mean, like a gap flip when Kerry's, you're talking about off the back of the landing.
Yeah, Gravity Games that same year though, it didn't air until after that, but was a gap similar.
Oh, okay.
But it was just so rad. It was 2 jumps right in a row, and they were so different. The first one was a poppy super kicker, and then he had to shift because he was hitting that first gear, shifting his second in the air and going. I mean, Dane Harris built the steepest, gnarliest jumps. Like it was an 85 footer. It wasn't just a second gear ramp. It was a second gear pin, steep, old, rutted out takeoff. You know, that was gnarly.
Watch out for snakes in those weeds. A lot of rattlesnakes around.
There are a lot of rattlesnakes in this world. That's right, Brian.
2002 Philly.
When it came to freestyle motocross, because
Little
I
Mandy
just trusted Mike's skill, you know. But once the backflip came in, it really, and the kids, I think it was a mixture of both of them because I'll never forget Philadelphia. I couldn't even focus. My jaw kept clenching, and I was so scared.
Metzger getting it started with the cliffhanger to no footer.
In freestyle competition, the rider has 2 minutes to leave an overall impression on the judges using style, variation, and difficulty. Freestyle had become a sport where pushing the boundaries and constant progression was greatly rewarded.
Is Metz the only dude who can make a no visor look cool?
100%. Probably. I mean, look at his whole shirt setup with that street bike armor or whatever it was at the time.
It's a big one, dude.
Mike comes in, pulls the first backflip, and as he's upside down, he clicks second gear.
shifted in the air, first flip, and landed, and goes to the next flip and did it perfect.
Mike Metzger just stopped not only his first medal at X Games, but his first gold medal at X Games.
No, I think like even with a lot of the guys today, like there's so many of the top freestyle guys, they're very good at once they're in the air. But there's something about doing back-to-back jumps that's makes it really technical. And then you got Drake McElroy right there. I mean, the backflip, that was the day that Drake McElroy pretty much ended his chances of doing freestyle like as a career. Like he has continued on, but that backflip was like it was what separated guys that wanted to go out and have a good time to the guys that wanted to take freestyle as a professional sport.
Yeah. I just left a message for Metz. He was supposed to be on our little party here, but not answering.
Yeah, no, just on this, Drake did just answer another question there. Drake landed a lot of flips. He actually was decent at them. He just kind of like Brian, like didn't really like it. Kenny Bartram was the same. Bartram was a year before he really enjoyed it or started getting the wheels consistently. And Drake just decided it just wasn't worth it. But Brian, how was your like flips were a long time coming for you before they felt natural, right?
Yeah, it took a while. Just like where I grew up, like I never had a trampoline. I never had like anything to get me comfortable with anything like that. And I always just all I did was race. So you know the feeling when you go upside down. My natural instincts was always to like get away from the bike, and it was really hard for me to commit to like the flips. And it took me a while. It took me like a lot of crashes, but I knew if I didn't do it, it was like I wasn't gonna ever do good again in any contest. So, kind of just had to figure it out. But after doing it enough, like, I mean, we would ride almost every day at our house where we had our ramps, and we would do freaking 100 flips a day, But it's like I said, I mean, I guess it felt pretty good after a while on ramps, but I was never real comfortable with flipping big dirt jumps and stuff like that. I just, for some reason, just wasn't really it didn't click great for me, for sure.
Yeah, Brian, I remember you called me before one of the crusty tours that we used to do in Australia. And you were going to get a pretty good pay increase from a promoter back in that day. And you called me and you said, should I do this? Because I want to party, man. I want to party. I was like, dude, if you just stick to the schedule, you can party all week and then put your shit together on Friday and Saturday, and then you can party again, man. And you're like, I think I can pull that.
You're saying pump the brakes on the weekend.
Yeah, pump the brakes on the weekend. Saturday night, we can have a blowout.
Blowout.
You called me about the backflip. You were remember we brought you out in a tank and the whole thing. Yeah.
Yeah, and I just got done getting hurt at my X Games. I just broke my femur in both arms. And I had to go to the tour in Australia, and I could barely walk with all that metal in my hip. And I had to backflip every show, which I wasn't that comfortable with it, even though
you were telling me, and here we make you the general and bring you out with a machine gun and a tank and the whole thing, and away you go. And
yeah, I mean, I'm glad I did it. It gave me a reason to like get back quick and like, get through the injury. But yeah, Friday nights were like, we couldn't do much on Friday night.
You still had Saturday to go. Yeah.
Yeah, I had to be level-headed for Saturday.
Well, you pulled it off, and it was interesting just talking about back then, and Feist as well. Is Feist still on here?
Yes, sir. I'm here.
Well, we made the characters from you guys from freestyle.
Yeah.
Brian, general, metal militia with a gun and a tank, and then Feist, you became Kung Fu.
Yeah.
We got the
We
Kung
had
Fu
the samurai
Feist.
sword.
The samurai sword. You cut the
Remember, I
guy's
cut
head
the head.
off and the
We
whole
had like a
thing.
dummy on the tour. We cut the head off the dummy. All the blood flew out.
So that was quite the days that we were making characters out of you guys.
Yeah.
And just to say for everybody that's watching this, if you enjoy seeing the characters, it's also fun to see a documentary on Brian that includes all that, and some of this footage is in it too, but it's got a lot more about that period of time, Bloodline, the life and times of Brian Deegan. It's worth seeing like this one.
Mm-hmm.
And then Seth Rowe, we made you a character. I think I had you go through some plate glass windows and things. You were like, that's probably not a good idea, right?
Broke through some glass, a couple times.
You broke through some glass and some fire and all kinds of crazy stuff.
Yeah, faith, trust. A lot of faith, a lot of trust.
So interesting times that we made everybody kind of their own character at that time.
Good times.
Oh yeah.
Hey, they're asking how you see Bloodline. Where can you watch that?
Isn't it still on iTunes and Vimeo, Paul? I think it's iTunes, Vimeo is where you can download it still. Yeah, I think it's iTunes, Vimeo, and I don't know. It's still on there. If you just go on your iTunes and put in Brian Deegan Bloodline, it comes up.
Nice. Yeah, sorry, I'm just watching it. Yeah, just watching a couple of these comments that are coming up. They're like, can they see these? Can you guys see those on your screen?
Yeah.
Yep. Nice.
Yeah, I think so.
They want to talk to you anyway, Travis, more than me.
Oh yeah,
so
there's a
that's
grip load. If you click on it, they all come up.
Yeah.
Oh,
They've
I
been
haven't
chatting in
seen
there the
those.
whole time.
Just next time one pops up on your screen, click it, and then there's a grip load.
Travis, who flipped the 75-foot ramp first?
Well, I mean, technically that was Metz when he did not ramp, but yeah. I mean, that's when he did that one. That's what I was like, oh yeah, you could definitely. Shoot, I don't even know. Do you know?
I know I tried it in practice once for best trick, and I bounced off the ground so bad, didn't even get close.
Oh, dude, that's when they mic'd you
up in the back.
Feist, remember when they
Yeah,
tried
it
to
was
mic
in
us
one
that
of the
year
No
for X
videos or
Games,
something.
and all you had was like, it was bad, but it was pretty funny.
That was bad.
I'm gonna bring up the Feist story. Trying to do the 360. When we get into the
180.
The 180. Yeah.
You went for the one. Yeah, that one. I guess it was kind of like Travis's flip off in San Francisco. I just totally backed out. Changed my mind right up the lip. Like, no.
Yeah, you got the 180 now.
Yeah.
So that crash there, that was one of the nights I did not hold off from partying.
That was a nasty one.
Yeah, little bacon
That's
still.
before your conversation with me to go on the Krusty tour?
That was after, yeah.
No, it was before.
Oh, it was, huh?
Yeah, that was before.
Yeah, because that's when I just learned to flip. Yeah, I just learned, yeah.
Yeah. There's a badass dude right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, jumped a skateboard over the China Wall.
Great Wall of China. Yeah.
Probably one of
And he did it with a broken foot.
How bad was this one?
Oh God!
Like the Cordova flip.
Worst bar hump flip of all time. Never even thought about letting go. Just
Never.
hung in there till the
Let's
ground.
just take
He was
it.
committed. Yeah. And classic Nate. He said, "I'm embarrassed."
Hey, was that Hart's? That was Hart's next attempt, huh?
Yeah.
And then I don't think he did it after that, right? Tried 3 times.
Once I don't know if he ever did it again.
No, I think came back that last year. I don't think so.
3 strikes, you're out.
Yeah.
There's a guy. How's that guy? That throw?
He was a bastard.
So Mike's moving freestyle in a completely different direction.
That's right.
He's got his fame. People know this guy.
Beat his record on Harley, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's not.
Beth also has the world record for jumping 32 kegs of beer. Most kegs anyone's ever jumped. I don't know that anyone else has ever jumped a keg of beer before, but
Tacoma, Washington. That's right.
Krusty 4, man. He sets the world record for jumping 32 kegs of beer.
Wow, Travis, you're an encyclopedia.
I waited for those VHS tapes to get to my house. Like when they came out and we pre-ordered them, like every day I was like waiting for the FedEx or UPS guy to get there.
Do you still have a VHS machine?
Oh heck yeah! I got a VHS and DVD. It's on a little TV. Yeah. Why not?
Hey, how far did you jump that Indian, Travis?
No, it was just an awesome opportunity to kind of give tribute to Evil, and dude, it ended up being the highest rated network television show of the year. So it was like just cool to bring like my dad's generation with kind of my kids' generation and let everyone kind of come together and talk about when men were men and bikes were crap, and kind of where the stuntman's gone, and that it's not, that era is not over. It just changed to action sport,
Yeah, no, that was cool. It was cool as hell. I just wondering how far you ended up jumping on that Indian.
2020. So Evil's longest jump was 145. So we did about 160. But it wasn't supposed to be about beating any of the records. I mean, obviously, if we can't do that at this point with all the technology and numbers and stuff, that's a failure. But just wanted to make it as big as what we could to make it kind of cool. But yeah, actually, it might have been like 180 was where I landed on the bus jump. But yeah, 165 to the top of the landing.
How fast?
I don't know. Gave us some gas.
Yeah.
No, but this is pretty cool. Like Metzger doing this, like that's when the 120 ramp first came out. So for him to jump the Caesar's Fountain, like that was pretty gnarly because no one knew if you could. Like that's way further than anyone had flipped at the time.
For sure, that was sick.
Okay, everybody, tell Matt.
Matt!
I'm leaving a message.
My wife, you're late. She was the one who was running the crowd control.
Everybody say, what's up, Matt?
What up?
Let's go.
Big Mets. Man, buddy.
Mets is late again.
Oh, he's always a day late.
When we did the Fresno viewing, he wrote Adam on Monday after it.
Where's Twitch? I thought Twitch was supposed to be on this.
Yeah.
Back it out.
Yeah, we're going on. Why don't you guys call Twitch? I just left him a message.
Twitch?
Twitch game.
I saw them post about it.
I know.
I don't know where he's at, dude.
And same with Hart. I just left him a message, Twitch and Mets.
Oh.
faster and in the air I started to over-rotate.
That's sick.
You sliding her in.
Olsen. Anybody seen Olsen?
Travis.
Yep.
Would you do that?
Now, yes. Then, no. No, I mean that's yeah, dude. So much of the stuff. I mean, to be the first one to do stuff, like Seth was just saying, like it's so difficult to know the speeds and if it'll work. And once you do it, like you can watch it and you can learn and you can study that tape and that video, or you can what gear they hit the jump in or whatever, and it all makes sense. But like that was gnarly.
That's pretty gnarly. And
we
the way
jumping, like shifting up a gear, that was a third gear pin flip,
Yeah.
Ramp to ramp too.
Yeah, ramp to ramp over some ridiculous shit that Evil couldn't do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, Dylan, we're answering questions. We're just waiting for you guys to send them. What do you got? Most of the guys writing in are just writing comments. If you guys ask questions, we'll get them.
I think they're talking about being like unmuted and actually able to ask some stuff, which we can do that. Like I said, I normally wait until the end, but who has their hands up here? I don't see it.
Go to the Q&A tab, Clint.
I have it pulled up, I thought.
Dude, I still hate the 360. Still the worst trick ever. Like, it's easier to do a double backflip with the 360, more consistent than it is to a backflip or just do a 360. Like, the things just come in so crappy with a dirt bike.
In Travis's head, it's easier.
Yeah, not many guys ever did it.
I mean, even till now, like count the numbers of guys who actually still do threes today. It's so low.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like Jay and actually Bilko's got them pretty dialed, but like if you do them right, like wheels down, I know, dude, Twitch was doing better backflip whips than most people were doing threes.
Yeah.
It just comes in weird, but like if you pull as hard as you can, you do a full backflip, and if you spin as hard as you can, you get a half a twist or a full flip. So if you have enough time in the air, it actually works out better to just pull as hard as you can and lean as hard as you can and do a double back with the full twist.
So Brian, what are you thinking here, right here? What are you thinking? Gotta pull it.
Yeah, I was 50-50 to be honest on the run. Like I was 50-50 of like if I was even going to do it or not, to be honest.
Yeah.
And I knew my run was just like so like basic that I'm like, I just got that urge within me like on the last few jumps of like, dude, I got so mad at myself that I was just like, the run wasn't that great that I'm like, I don't even care if I crash. Like I just kind of sent it and see if I could pull it. And luckily I slid down the side. I 50-50'd it. But I was freaking nervous for sure. Like going up to it, I'm like, shit, this is going to be gnarly.
By the way, that was the best, flattest 360 you've done in your whole career. For sure. That was damn good.
Yeah, I should have just stopped right there and just freaking been done with it. But yeah, no, it was by far. And look how I land down the side of the landing. If I wouldn't have done that, I would have crashed.
Yeah,
like,
if you didn't hit the soft stuff. Yeah.
Soft spot. I know you just muscled it, you know?
Yeah.
You ruined my day though, because I was thinking, I'm like, man, I wonder if I can win without the 360. I'm like, I don't have this. I hate this trick. I don't like the way it comes in. And I'm going over my run and the crowd just erupts. And Jim the champ, he goes, Dig, it did a 360. Like I had not even heard a rumor that you were going to be doing that. And I was like, son of a, yeah, now I got to do it.
There was a lot of dispute, I can tell you, whether Brian's trick came before or after the buzzer.
Dude, these X Games were the best, though. The ones in the Coliseum and the Home Depot were so sick.
This was such a gnarly course. Kenny Markstrom came up to me in practice and goes, "Hey, do you think anyone noticed if I just went home?" Like, dude, like before we even jumped, we're not talking about doing tricks. We're just talking about jumping the jumps.
I remember
Dusty
dude,
Weigel and Dusty Weigel and some of the Nitro guys went to that one. The energy in that stadium was unbelievable.
Yeah,
that was the best
sick.
freestyle. That
Like
was the best freestyle event I think, like ever. Like as far as
Boom. Woo.
as far as the hype.
Jason.
Yeah, but to be honest,
Here it comes, Travis. Timeout.
Okay, the timeout. I know Brian's giving me shit. I got to be the only X Games athlete to read the entire rule book top to bottom for every sport. Like, there's no way that any of you guys did that.
I
But
never
was like,
even knew you could do that.
What, read the rule book?
Time out. I didn't even know there was a rule book, dude.
It was for the BMX in case they had some broker, a skateboard or whatever. So the rules in FMX stated that you had to be on your way to your final jump before the time ran out. And I looked up at the clock and I saw I had like 3 seconds left. So I put my hands in timeout and I was like, I got my bars are bent. There's Brian like, you timeout. What the fuck?
Like honestly though, like your guys' runs were so good. Like every jump was, you guys were flipping the 75 doing tricks. And I don't think I should have won for one trick either, you know? Like it was a freestyle contest. I mean, I think it was just about doing the trick, you know? At the end of the day, it was like that. You guys were doing a gnarly run.
I mean, that was one of the things I told the judges is you reward risk and innovation. It's not about consistency. That's not what the sport is built on. So that was the philosophy I had running the judges was whoever's the gnarliest guy and does something first, that's where you should put your vote.
Which
no, I 1,000% agree with that. I mean, look, dude, that crowd, yeah, Nate Adams probably had the best run of the night. But like if you talk about the whole overall run, but the crowd during Nate's run, they were excited. Nate was great. But when Brian did that, you know, like the whole crowd, that's what people are, I mean, they still, to this day, they still talk about it. The militia twist.
Yeah. 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 The one, like those big moments for sure.
Hey, Travis, why didn't you ever want to go in the snow?
He was smart.
I never one time went to Winter X. Brian,
smart, dude.
how good was the snow? Good time, right?
Yeah, I always figured you'd be into it because you grew up in the snow and the cold, but you're smart enough not to take the risks over there.
No, plus it was during Supercross season, so.
Gnarly when the ruts formed in the face and then it snowed. You can't even see it.
They put the blue dye on it so you could kind of try to see the transition.
Yeah, but you can't see the ruts.
It's sketchy, dude.
No, at altitude, like to me, I'm like, we're gonna be going and doing 2-year-old tricks to try to get the win. Like for me, freestyle was about pushing like what you could do, and I didn't like anything about that whole setup.
Yeah, I agree. But yeah, like I won with like a backflip, no legs.
And like they said, the landing, you saw the guy with the hose, we would build it in layers and turn it into just a giant ice block.
Like a lot of work. A ton of work.
Hard to prepare for it too.
Hey boys,
remember we tried to build the dirt jump to mimic it.
That went against the event we're going to do. Plus, it was a best trick. So we've taken the most insane thing you could possibly do in the sport of freestyle motocross, and we put it on an ice.
You out of here, Dana?
I'm gonna take a break, man. The ice cream man's here. He came out to our camp.
HB.
I'll be back in a minute.
All right, yeah. Grab some wappies for me.
Look at that. I'll be back.
D-Dog! The ice cream man's in town. Throw the pinky.
Yeah, look at
A lot of inside jokes there.
Riding in an ice cream truck in your doesn't count. You gotta go get an ice cream, right? I'm just saying.
Just getting it, dude.
Give you guys some scenery.
Ah.
That's gnarly shit there, Brian.
That's not good.
Yeah, I didn't even know why I did that.
I couldn't believe you tried that either, dude. I was like, what?
The lip was like flat too.
Dude,
It was like no
I
lip.
could not believe you tried that.
I know. I think if I would have hung on to it, I don't know what would have happened. I've tried to study that. I don't know. Like I don't know if I would have just landed on my back or what.
It looks like you probably high side it.
And I'm just laying there. I'm like, oh man, I'm fucked.
Fuck the femur.
Yeah, the femur sucks.
Yeah, Vice, you know about the femur too. Shit.
Yeah, the femur is a bad one.
Oh, good.
Jethro, you know about it too.
Twice.
Yeah, huh? Deegs got two, bro. What'd you do? Break both wrists and your femur, huh?
Yeah, both wrists like in 3 spots each, and then my femur I like shattered it. My hip.
I remember I came to see the hospital before I flew home. I felt so bad to leave you there too.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, I gotta jump on my flight, and you're just jacked, dude. Just so out of it. I
was there for like a week or two.
I know. You were jacked up, dude.
Well, you got a shirt out right here, right?
Yeah. It really made. I just remember it like bugging me that I was sitting there and everyone was home and I was the only one left at Aspen.
Like, hey, call me when you get home.
Yeah, I'm like, well, that's like made me really think about the sport, to be honest, when I just sat there for 2 weeks.
Yeah. And then when your flight home, like horrible, right? Didn't you tell me like they're trying to get comfortable the whole flight home? You were just like miserable.
Oh, yeah. It's in the gnarliest pain ever, you know?
Yeah. I remember.
Yeah, like gnarly pain for sure.
When that happens, Brian, does the airline give you a special seat or not really?
Yeah, they had a seat. Like I got to sit, but then they tied me with some weird like tie down strap on my legs, and I just remember this big old lady like yanked down on my legs super tight with this tie down. I just remember screaming because it was like right on my broke leg, and it was like, I don't know, I just like certain details that I won't forget, you know.
What Metzger's talking about right there is all within 1 year.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
He used to get weeded a lot.
Yeah, he got work.
He always got work.
Remember when he got caught in the back of the bike and it ripped his back off at that like Supercross race in San Diego?
Yeah, and they had to cut a big chunk of his skin off.
Yeah, had like a burnout across his back. He got caught with it. Was so bad.
Right.
Yeah.
And he lost the nut, didn't he?
Yeah, I think he did.
Yeah.
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 One of the things we wrestled with when we were making the
public there, I guess.
One of the things we were dealing with in making the movie was how much crashes to show. We didn't really. You'll see, there are some, but we saved it as much as we could. We didn't want to make that about what this movie was. This is the only section where it really focuses on that, and then it's really about setting up Brian's comeback after the crash. That's why it's the break between the two moments to now make the next one have more dramatic impact when he goes back.
As being a representative from whatever moto industry, we appreciate that, because otherwise you could have definitely painted a terrible picture, I'm sure, with all the crash footage that you have.
Huge ice cube again.
I think, Paul, that we wanted to keep everybody in a bright light as a character, as people that might have had, you know, problems, but they overcome the circumstances that, you know, that our athletes had to deal with, and you end up pretty much at the end of the film with a bunch of heroes. So I'll let you take that from there, Paul.
Was it to find themes that are not related to moto per se, but are themes that you can relate to? Like in this case, Brian crashes, and it's facing coming back. And that's really, to me, the theme of the movie is if you fall down, get back up, which is what all you guys did.
If you crash, whatever, just block it out. You know, just do it. You're here. And I remember the same
Well,
exact
snow.
feeling as I took
Like how bad it was snowing.
Dude.
It was like dumping snow,
That's
dude.
gnarly.
I just remember you couldn't even see the ruts.
No, it was white. It was whitewash.
Full
Yeah,
white
he's-
out.
flip trick off and won X Games, and I was like, you did it. All right, dude, it's done. And such a sigh of relief and such a different feeling. You just accomplished it and you got through it.
Brian Deegan absolutely deserved every bit of stardom and accolade that he got.
That's where the
Because
snowboard
he
is.
put himself in harm's way.
That's a whiteout.
Again and again. And every time he went down, he got back up and went for it to prove that he was worthy of that spot.
You know, dude comes back and wins a gold medal. And, you know, again, there's a great story to that, but it's sort of like, you know what, this is just being pushed a little too much.
Not long after, X Games would remove freestyle best trick from winter competition. Still, on dirt, a new breed of athletes continued to push progression. Nate Adams leading the
So,
way.
Paul, was it only 2 years of the Winter X?
I think there was more than that because we did it in Vermont the first time, and then we must have done at least 2 or 3 years in Aspen. But it was more than 2 years for sure. Vermont was really hard the first time we did it because it wasn't cold, so the snow was really soft. Mad Mike Jones won it with like 2%.
Travis, are you still with us?
Yeah, I'm right here, man.
Here you go. What are you doing right here? You just pushing the ramp around?
Padding up, pushing the ramp back. Dude, that ramp, so we had a super kicker set 2.5 feet up in the front. How like Sheeny and those guys are doing double flips with it flat. And Levi Sherwood's doing like no prop up double back knacks with his bike and stuff. So no, it was interesting because I just started switching over to rally and really had it like, because we did like the rally stages first. I was trying to make that transition, and I'm a tenth of a second off of Colin McRae after all the stages. That's where I wanted to go. I know I have freestyle coming up, which is kind of my best event, and Supermoto too, which I always was horrible at. But you know, I got basically 3 more events after best trick. And you know, you're sitting third after that first round. I'm thinking, well, I already got the medal here, and you know, my mom's crying. She thinks I'm gonna die. Like, it was pretty gnarly. They were trying to break up the landing, but the landings at X Games are they're rock solid. So if you crash, it's gonna suck.
So what are you thinking right here?
Well, right there, we kind of made the decision. I was like, all right, I'm going to do it. Everyone, dude, I got all the rally team, like, don't do it. My mom, don't do it. Everyone was pretty much like, dude, you don't need to do the double backflip here. But I I was like, man, if I don't do it now, I don't know if I'll ever do it. Like, I've been working on this trick for 4 years. Like, I know I can make it. So I had the world's worst outfit. I was like, man, it happened.
Got the plaid going for you.
Yeah, but
what are you thinking right here?
Actually, if you look up, I'm not that far off of that right there, that camera and that kind of the roof lights. So that right there looked really close to me. But yeah, the whole world like slowed down. I remember all the smells, sights. It was one of the wildest. Like it felt like it was rotating that slow. But yeah, once you commit to doing something, you're pretty much in. So I figured when it took off, I'm like, well, really? Best out of it.
There's a story that we couldn't fit into the documentary. You may remember, Travis, that my son was in the athlete lounge. Said, just go have fun, and that seemed to light you up. That he said, "Okay, I'm going to go do this."
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. I mean, there's, Brian, appreciate it, man. That was one of the few times that like everybody and watching the Kevin Robinson and Chad Keggy were both trying flares that night. You had Tony Hawk right there.
Because it has no tension to look at.
Sandra Bullock, like everybody was there. My wife, I didn't know her at the time, but she was there watching. Like it was one of those moments that like everyone was there, and so many people come up to me still now and like, oh, I was over in Iraq, or I was here, I was there, and it was cool that it reached such a wide audience that everyone kind of understood like what I was going through. Like as an athlete, you always have these moments that define you, but rarely does everyone else feel the same thing you do. So that was pretty cool.
And what about Mom?
Yeah, she's still nervous from that night. She was probably closer to dying that night than I was with a heart attack. But no, she's always supportive of me though.
Yeah,
I thank her every day for now being a parent, especially allowing me to chase my dreams.
There's Bilko. You had Bilko, Deegan.
Yeah, Bell. No, I mean, like literally, there couldn't have been more people watching that night. More of my peers, more of my friends, and then the whole world, obviously, with X Games and having it live.
You need to get out or no?
I was there. It was awesome.
This was a really hard part for us to be making the movie from a structural standpoint, because you have this incredible moment where Travis does the double backflip. But the history doesn't end there. We had to then transition to this section, which is obviously very, very sad. And then we had to find another ending. At one point, we actually contemplated moving those and having the lust situation happen and then Travis, but it was just untrue. I couldn't do it.
Live on this crusty Zoom with all the rest of the It's been going on for like 2 hours. Everyone. Travis is talking right now.
Hey, Brian, you there?
Egan, now's a good time to chime in.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, Paul, why don't you tell a bit about making this part of the movie? You started to touch on that, but
it was really hard. It was very emotional. I mean, obviously for Brian, it's a real thing, and Ronnie, it's a real thing. You know, as a filmmaker, you just try to tell the story, but we felt we had to keep this in here because it really was another one of these turning points, and it was a way to pay tribute to Jeremy. And I think it also really illuminates a lot about Brian. You see his reaction, how he's the narrator for this section of the movie in a large part. And, we did not show the crash. We had access to Jeremy's crash here. There was a thing called Live Leak where you see this little bit of footage, but I didn't want to show the actual stuff, and we didn't show what really happened.
Going on, but it was real serious. I felt like I needed to go there.
We head out to Costa Rica and we land and we go straight to the hospital. Walking down these hallways and there's like people moaning, and it was just third world. And I said, "Where's the doctor? Where's the surgeon?" And I'm like, "What's gonna happen?" He's like, "Oh, he's probably not gonna make it." Like, I was like, "No way, we have to save him," you know? And started calling around and saying, "A life flight, we got a life flight, I'm home. Like, this place is a nightmare. Like, there's
Hey, Brian.
doctors
Yeah.
doing the right thing."
Is this a tough part to talk about? This was kind of a heavy little thing for me and Paul to make that segment, but it was kind of more of a, like Paul said, a tribute.
Just my best friend, so.
To Lusk.
Yeah, and you have to tell the story, right? I mean, it's
yeah.
That was like I said. I was in the hospital, down there, and when I got down there, it was really weird that he was just kind of in a room by himself, and it was just like no one was around, and he had like all these tubes connected to his head, and it didn't even look like him anymore because he was so swollen, and. And we were like, where's the doctor? Where's the doctor? We had to walk around town in the middle of like the hood. And we found this little doctor's office away from the hospitals where they told us the nurses said the doctor was great. And we talked to the brain surgeon, and the brain surgeon was just pretty much like, yeah, he's not going to make it. And we were like, really? Like, we don't, like, that's it? He's like, yeah. And he
wasn't it something that you wanted to get him on an airplane, but you can't do that with a head trauma, that kind of thing?
Yeah, because, we didn't realize that, we're like, okay, we're going to pay for a flight to get him out of here, like a medical flight, to get him out of here to a better care, because we felt like that the hospital was really, really bad. But they said he's not stable enough to fly. And then when we called all the medical flight people and doctors, they're like, no one wanted to take him on a flight because they're like, he's too unstable. He won't make it. And we were like, well, he's not going to make it here. The doctors already said he's not going to make it. Yeah. And so they were just pretty much like, non-emotional of like, hey, he's just like, he had a big, a head trauma. I think he broke his neck also. And it was like, hey, he's not going to make it. And so we sat there through it, and I was in the hospital, like, and when his parents finally got there, because they did not have passports, so they had to wait like a day or two. And so by that time, it had been a day or two, and Jackson was the only rider out of all the riders that were at that event. He was the only rider that stayed. And
Jacko.
Yeah, Jacko, yeah. He was the only rider that stayed with him. And so when we got there, hung out with Jack for a little bit, and he left. But my point was, I was there with, Cameron and Apple, and I forget, there's a few other people, but the parents finally got there, and this was already a day or two in. And when the dad got there, like, I witnessed a father and a son, right? I witnessed a father and a son, like a father seeing his only son in that condition, which was hard to even watch. And then within minutes, I think he redlined, and like his temperature got too high, and then redlined. And then so like a few doctors came in and started giving him CPR. But like, it was like, his dad got to see him for the last few minutes, like, alive before he, totally was gone. And, but I witnessed that whole thing, and it was just heavy. Like, to see that all go down. Like, it was something, probably the gnarliest thing I've ever seen, for sure. It was like, and I didn't even know what to say or do, really. It was, I don't know, like, that was like something that I wish I never was a part of or never witnessed, but it happened,
Yeah, I was just, touching on that, because that was a hard subject for when Paul and I were trying to make, light of that story. We didn't know how to cover that really, but I think it came out pretty good in the Unchained story, and it was a good thing to tell so people kind of know Jeremy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you definitely want to feel like it wasn't all for nothing. Like he had a cool legacy. He did a lot of cool stuff. He clicked with us real fast. He was a good dude. At the end of the day, he had a good legacy that needed to be told. Like, and I think it's good that it was told, because it'd be sad to think if his memory just like faded out without, telling that story.
I think that's how we felt when we were putting it together. Isn't that right? I'll let Paul chime in.
Well, one of the things is, if you look back at this section, it was very hard to do. I'm speaking now as a structural filmmaker. we want to tell the emotional story, but Brian actually had a camera, a flip phone that he shot a lot of footage of when he was there. And we tried all kinds of things with the highest technology we could find to extract the footage, but it had been a damaged disc. So, and then there was other footage that Lauren had in stills, but nobody wanted to share it because it was so emotional. And we respected that. But I had to find a way, we had to find a way to cover Brian telling the story without any footage. So what we did was, if you saw that, we just played it, we ran a tribute to him.
Can I make a campfire?
Footage of him as a young, healthy man,
Right here.
while we're hearing the story about how bad he is. So it's cinematically, it actually ended up working better than having the footage, because it's all in your mind as Brian tells the story, and you see these lovely pictures of Jeremy healthy and happy with his wife and riding. So that's how we ended up, because in video, you got to have video to show. And I didn't want it to just be Brian on camera for that long. So by using, just different footage we found of Jeremy, some of the footage was from a series I did called FMX Riot, where we went to Dubai with Jeremy. And I, on a personal level, I got to spend a couple of weeks with him there. And he really was a sweetheart of a guy. I mean, he was a tough guy, and, but as Brian will tell you, I really found him to be one of the nicest guys I ever met in freestyle.
Yeah, for sure. And, he was young, very young. So it's, sad to see that all happen, but it's, telling that story was, was good. It was good that he, his legacy that will live on through that for sure.
Well, that was a cool way to do a segment on Jeremy. Let's put it that way.
And luckily, Travis cooked up this crazy idea for the triple, which gave us an ending to the movie, because when we were doing it, we had this section here about the sports progressing, but I didn't want to end it. Where do I'm thinking like a movie maker also. How do you end this thing? We have Taka, we have these different things that happen, but we needed a bigger ending, and it kind of got handed to us kind of back from Travis Pastrana, even though he wasn't he didn't do it himself. Travis, you made it possible for the film. We're sort of recapping the story here, the different people.
Hitting 300.
300.
Finally made it. 301.
Meets lots of kids named Seth.
That's a landing, Seth, bro.
Yeah, that's what you need. We had to build a big one.
That one was sweet, dude.
What we're doing is we sort of recapping, but leading up to your other cockamamie idea, Travis, with Josh Sheehan.
Yeah, what's all that about, Travis? What the hell did you build?
Well, we had been working on a triple ramp pretty much since the 2006 double flip, but I couldn't do it. So I tried with Red Bull and kept pursuing it with Nitro. So I invited Paget and Josh Sheehan out to the house. Had an airbag.
How sweet is Josh Sheehan?
And it was, so we started with, I don't know, probably a 28-foot tall takeoff, and we ended up with a 44-foot tall takeoff. He was a little over 100 feet in the air on this.
Holy shit.
Almost 90 degrees. So he only went like 22 or 23 feet distance forward. But he went, 100 feet up. So that landing, the top of the landing is 65 feet above where the ground level is on the other side. And he didn't want to do it. So he did it to a bag, and we invented a lot of cool stuff along the way, but I was scared to death to do it to a bag. So everyone's like, oh, well, how did Josh get, like, why was he allowed to do it? Like, who picked Josh? I was like, nobody picked Josh. No one else showed up. Like, after everybody was done, and Red Bull's like, we're done funding this, and Nitro's like, we're done funding this, and my wife's like, we're done funding this. Josh came, and he was paying his own flight out. He was welding his own ramps. He brought out like 10 of his buddies from home.
I didn't know that.
To all, like, after a whole year after all the funding stopped, and working with bag jump and everything, trying to get to where we could do it as safe as possible. And I mean, shoot, everyone's like, oh, airbags are safe, but dude, he had internal bleeding a couple times just from landing well onto the bag. But you can't drop from that high, So Josh
how's he end up at your house from Perth, Australia? I've been to his house.
Yeah, no, Nitro Circus, man. It's a tight group. Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah.
Why didn't you want to do it, Travis?
I wanted to do it for 6 years. I finally got one around, and when I say around, I mean I wouldn't have landed. I just got to my face on the triple, and I came up, and I went to hit it again. I was all excited, and I was on a 125. I tried all different things, but I'm 6th gear pinned on a 125, and I locked it up. I didn't go to it. I'm like, if I am scared to death to hit this ramp with an airbag, what makes me think that I'm going to commit to doing a triple? Because it's not just committing to hit the ramp. And yeah, mind you, if you go, our landing bag was 35 foot wide, so you're only going 18 feet or whatever off each side basically, and the takeoff was so steep, like you could easily buckle off the side. So even to an airbag is scary. But I figured if I'm scared to do it to an airbag, you got to commit to the first flip, the second flip, and then you look at the ground going away. You're 70 feet off the deck, and you got to commit to a third one. I didn't have the balls, quite frankly.
I'd love to hear what
that jump retired me.
Ronnie, what do you and Brian think? I mean, I know as a fan it blows my mind, but what do you think, Ronnie?
About the 3, no, thank you. I thought the double was gnarly enough.
You got the 180 down now.
I didn't even realize that that would really be possible. It was one of those things where I'm like, I can't believe they did that. Like, that's insane. So I ain't messing with it.
I thought the same thing when I saw it. I just couldn't believe how high it was. Like it's just like the height out of it was so crazy. Like,
yeah,
I mean, I don't know. I don't know if anyone will do that again.
Yeah.
Harry Bink and Jo are working on it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Jo's really close on a 21-foot ramp. Harry's pretty close on the 14-footer. But I think Jo's going to need to go probably 28 feet or there on the takeoff ramp. Harry could probably get it off of the 21, the one I did the double flip 3 on. But he's strong, even though he's short. He's super strong. Like,
both of those guys are.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Friggin'.
Jo was bending handlebars on the takeoff. On the takeoff.
Travis, what was that trick that destroyed your ankle? And is that something you've ever tried to do again?
No, I had another flip to it. It's a lot easier. That's what I said. I hate spins. It's easier to do. I could do that trick. I could do a flip 270 and just tuck another. It's just, yeah. No, I hate that trick. It sucks.
What about your bar spin deal? You ever going to do that again?
No, Thomas Paget, he started working on that again. And, a couple of the guys doing body burials, and it's just too expensive to build that stuff. It's a whole different frame.
Yeah.
Trav, what do you think of the future of freestyle? I mean, are they still having freestyle anymore at X Games?
I know they are. Well, this year it's kind of it's not a total secret, but Axel Hodges has built a giant course out somewhere in the boondocks of Escondido.
Yeah.
And they're going to, because of the lockdown, the X Games are going to do some kind of a live thing from different venues. So they'll be without crowds, obviously. So there'll be something at a mega ramp. There'll be something at a freestyle course. There'll be something in skateboarding. So the answer is yes. I will tell you, there was a period of time after the snowmobile guy's name I'm blanking on, who passed away at Winter X. When we were finishing this movie, and my wife was with me, we had the head PR person for ESPN and Disney, like a top person, met with us on another project. And I showed her the early trailer of this movie, and we hadn't gotten the deal done yet for the footage rights. And she said, your movie will never get released. We will never license you the footage. That was right after that guy passed away at Winter X Games. And
Caleb Moore.
It's Caleb Moore.
And they said ESPN is so paranoid. Unlike stock car racing or other sports, ESPN isn't the promoter. So if someone was to have the tragedy like happened in NASCAR, like it happened with Dale Earnhardt, ESPN says, hey, we're just a broadcaster. But with X Games, they're the promoter. And the people at the highest level of Disney, if you think about how big Disney is as a corporation, they run the parks, they run ABC Network, they run the Disney Channel, X Games, and they run ESPN, obviously. X Games is so tiny. This guy came into a meeting and said, I've never heard of X Games, and we put something on that killed a young person. We should just kill this whole deal. We should not have X Games in our company. It's a bad deal for a public company that's a youth-oriented, have fun Mickey Mouse company. They were able to save it. But they originally said, you know what, you're not going to be able to ever release this movie. We'll never give you the footage. But luckily, as what happened, Monster Energy then became a title sponsor of X Games. And they were saying, no, we want to see this movie. And ESPN said, well, if Monster is good with it and they wanted to keep that relationship good, that helped move them to say, we can't shut this down. They'd originally said, yes, we'll do the deal, Paul. We can have all the footage you want. Then they changed their mind. And we were at one point, Susie was with me in Hawaii, when we did an ESPN movie about Eddie Aikau, a big wave surfer. And we were there for the PR, and they sent their top person and said, nope, not going to happen. But luckily it happened. So as far as I know, they're still pushing forward with a new way to do it this year.
Okay. That's cool. Yeah, I didn't know the future of it. So
I think your question is a good one. You know, I was at Minneapolis last year, and there's Paget doing double backflips in his warm-up run. Like it was like
nothing. They drill them now like they're easy.
So that's my question to you guys, to Travis. Like, obviously the tone has changed, the risk level has changed, but where is there a future? Because I will, you know, if you were, you know, Jacko Strong is pulling some crazy stuff, but a lot of this other stuff, as crazy as it is, it just doesn't have this excitement to it because it's all dialed in airbags and everybody comes in. Just doesn't have the same feel. Is it going to ever change? Because I think the energy has left the sport a lot.
Well, for me, it's all about the progression of ramps and that kind of stuff. Like we're, you know, it's tough when X Games, they went and it's good, but it's like the Olympics. Like everything's, you know, who can point their toes more, kind of, which has never really been what action sports and really freestyle was about. But there's a lot of guys that don't like to hit different ramps or try new things like that. And what I liked about when Dane Herron and the guys were building the dirt lips is every time you went to X Games, it was different. It makes it harder to do big tricks, but that was really exciting. When we got to Coliseum, and like I said, Bartram and heck, everybody was like, man, I'm scared to even jump the jumps. That adds an element of excitement. You know, it does make the tricks more difficult, but you get that catch-22. So for me, I think it'll go more back grassroots. You can see like guys like Axel Hodges, you know, and they got the quarter pipe, you get all this rad stuff coming in. That's exciting. That's different. And I don't think, you know, and Ronaldo last year with X Games was absolutely ridiculous as far as a trick perspective, but I think it's going to continue to grow based on the courses and the modifications that are going to come of that. And it won't die until imagination does, for sure.
Travis, what do you think about the people who criticize the cheater, quote unquote, ramps? Like I just did an interview with Jackson Strong. What's your feeling about that on the front flip?
Nope. I mean, Paris Rosen made it so he could do double fronts. As a promoter of entertainment, it's awesome for Nitro Circus, but yeah, it definitely has, you know, it makes a front flip like Jacko's like, come on guys, like I'm doing a front flip, a legit front flip. That's way harder, without a doubt. And it makes that look to people that don't understand what the cheater ramp is, but people think the cheater ramp just makes you do a front flip. I mean, I can go off a double front flip ramp and launch it and not front flip at all. Or I can go off and do a double front flip, like to an airbag. I've never tried that like Duffy to a landing, but you know, it's still very, very technical. It's very dangerous, but it allows more progression. So for me, if you can do more stuff in the air, it makes things more exciting.
And Jacko told us, I don't want to go 75 feet. I need 85 feet to do the front flip. The first one that he ever tried, we were, I think, Krusty Tour in Australia somewhere. He tried to go 85 feet. Finally landed. But man, did he take some beatings trying that thing. But yeah, he didn't have the cheater ramp. He just hucked it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was gnarly. And we just had him and Adelberg side by, almost high-fiving just on our last little tour that we did.
That's amazing.
Now I want to ask, our host told me before we got on the call here that he does stand-up comedy, including moto jokes. So I know I'm putting him on the spot here, but he's got a moto audience. I'd love to hear a couple of jokes.
I think that these guys will relate driving. Everybody should have. It should be classifications, just like in motocross, right? If you're a novice, you only are allowed to drive on the side streets, and then you got to have. If you're pulling onto the interstate, it's the same as the moto track. The guy's checking your practice ticket, so he's gonna kick you off of the track. Obviously, there's no setup to that, so it sucked, but. I think I can't do good whips because my equilibrium is too good. No, that one's not good either.
Hey, tell a joke, funny man. Let's hear it.
I know. I hate it when people fucking do that. It always goes just like that did.
I'll give you one. With all this stuff with Trump building the wall and the Mexicans.
That's a joke?
Yeah, and the Mexicans, what do you think they did about Trump building the wall?
Who, the Mexicans?
That one as good as this joke.
They got over it.
Right, guys? They're over
I
it.
got it.
I want to just say, entertainment properties, that I did get to go to Nitro, and I have to say, Travis, he had a fabulous time. I saw a grown man enjoy it like he was a kid, and you've nailed it. It's a great property, and we were very impressed, and it was a lot of fun.
No, well, thank you so much. That's awesome.
Let's see if we got any of these guys in the chat here. If you guys want to ask the two guys with their hands still up, Jan and Dylan, do you guys still want to ask your questions? Anybody right in there? Yes. All right, Dylan. All right, there you go. You can talk now. Oh, you're muted.
Hey, Travis, can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, I got you, Dylan.
I was just wondering, what's your favorite accomplishment in your action sports career?
Probably still being able to make a living traveling the world in a circus on kids' toys with my wife, 2 kids, and all my best friends.
Yeah, I mean, I was really happy to see you at Nitro Circus in Providence there. I don't know if you were reading some of my comments, but you know, you had actually signed my back, and I got a tattoo. I got your signature tattooed over it.
Die hard. Well, thank you. I appreciate the support for sure. That's Charlie.
Is that all your?
Yeah. Yeah, it was a hell of a time, man. And I saw you at Redbud, and you know, I'm just pretty starstruck, to be quite honest. I mean, it's been an honor to watch you guys, and you know, grow up watching all you guys in the action sports world, and you know, I just can't even believe what you guys do.
Oh, dude. Thanks for tuning in, though. I appreciate it. Good to. Hopefully, I'll see you at a Nitro show or something along the way. I'm sure again.
What's going on with Nitro these days, Travis, given our current situation?
Well, it's a bad time to be running a traveling tour. But, no, I mean, it's tough. It's tough for everybody right now. But at the end of the day, we're still working with doing basically Nitro Rallycross. For me is the biggest next push. Trying to do the car stuff, and I just bought some land in Maryland, and we're trying to get it all set up for a rally course and supermoto and go-karts, and should be a lot of fun.
We got one more person with their hand up. Jan, I'm going to unmute you. There you go. The mute deal is always a pain in the ass. Unmute yourself if you can. Well, they're allowed to talk if they chime in here. Anybody else? Dan, any of you guys got any questions? Well, I want to thank you guys. This has been awesome. I know everybody that joins us is big fans of this stuff and watched everything. Just like, I think it's funny that you guys are in the movies and you quote lines from everything just like the rest of us. we all know, we've all watched this stuff forever, and we all love it, and we can all quote all these movies. And I think for a lot of these guys to see that you guys are still really fans of the sport. I know, you know, all you guys still, whether you ride professionally or not, you still ride all the time and enjoy it. So I think that's why this is such a tight community. And
by the way, the movie's on Netflix. If anybody who's listening in wants to watch it, you can catch it on Netflix.
All right, there you go. Catch it on Netflix. Also, we got, this is just a random side note, we got a full first draft of Baco. So Adam, I've been working with Adam on that. So he was like, "Oh, put that in a couple of guys' ears." I know Travis. We got Travis's name through there a bunch. So, yeah.
Him it goes.
Exactly.
Hey boys, well, I'm gonna sign out. We gotta ride dirt bikes. You guys are on lockdown, so we'll be in the desert.
Right.
Lockdown. Signing out, boys.
Thanks for coming.
Good to see y'all. Yep.
Adios, everybody.
All right,
Right on,
everybody.
guys.
Thank
Thanks
you,
for having
guys. Yeah, thanks for coming, Brian, Ronnie,
All right, man. We'll see you guys.
Seth,
Thanks,
Travis, John, Paul.
Throw. TP. Good to see you, man.
See you guys. Good to see you guys as well.
Thank you. I'll
Catch you
see you
boys
guys.
soon.
Peace out.
All right, we're
Later.
signing off.